Hey, everyone. Hey, Steve, Robert, Tom, Grayson. I'm going to go ahead and throw the link in here, pin it to the top. Anybody want to come in, just click on the link. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, Ed. Oh, it's been a really nice week so far this week as far as not having any rain. Been doing a lot of farming for me, helping my son out, getting hay in. Hey, Brian, Z, Wildwood, Honeybee Farm. What's everybody been doing? I think I've seen some of you last night. Hey, Mark, are you out in your in the bee yard tonight? Here comes Bob, man, my sidekick. Hooray!
So you're not talking to the chat box anymore?
Yeah, it's always good to not have to talk to the chat box. Hey, well, Todd.
I lost a colony today. There's one of the ones with one of my queens in it. They were just gone. So, I mean, there was a little tiny cluster, no queen. Looked like they had been getting robbed out. So, I took one of my nukes immediately.
Or did they just die?
I think they just got robbed out and absconded or took over. And so I took one of my nukes, right? 5-frame nukes that had been doing. I just popped them, just took out 5 frames, boom, right in the middle of them, let them go. So,
yep, that's what I do.
Did have a promising site today. I was on the phone. I walked across the street, and we got the glossy privet is starting to come out, and but this weather is just crazy. So, starting to happen. We'll see if it pops because not too impressive.
Well, maybe we need a little bit of water to, to kind of spirit up the flow a little bit too. I think maybe.
I sure hope so because it's not looking good. More colonies and less honey is what it's looking like this year.
Hey, Dennis.
So far.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to get into mine possibly tomorrow afternoon. Hey, Brian.
You hear that horn honking?
Yeah, what's that?
That's typically someone wanting honey. So let me go see if they need honey.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, don't let me hold you back. Come on in, Brian. Let's talk. Castle Hives. So anyway, so I haven't been in the hives here this week yet, but it looks pretty good. Hey, James. So that's what's happening here. It's been nice and dry. Yeah, he's still taking care of his chicks. I forget what they were. Or not chickens or something else. Quail, that's it. So, all right, Brian, that's fine. Yes, Russell, I got the hay bale. We did, I think, 27 round bales today, which was a light day. And the 3 previous days, we square baled a total of 3,600 bales, about 1,200 bales a day on average. So we're done for now. Hooray. I got the weekend off, more or less, as far as hay goes. Dennis, I'm going to go into a hive while watching. Well, Dennis, why don't you take and simulcast it on here on the show. That would be pretty cool. Brian did a couple paper combines. I'll bring that up. Did a few paper combines the other day. Not messing with those queenless colonies anymore. Well, I had 3 queenless honey hives, and I think part of them due to the fact that I had marked them for some reason. And I dropped in 3 nukes and papered them in. So that's the ones. Ed's going to try some grafting. See if. Now the only problem with that is trying to get them mated, depending on how many drones are you there. Made some money.
$30.
$30. 3 pounds.
Yes, sir. And
Hope says it's going to rain your area there. It's that northeast now.
All weekend, 17 weekends in a row.
Is that right?
Yes, and a high of 59 degrees tomorrow.
That's pretty cool.
On the 27th of May in South Carolina. Unheard of.
It's 73 here right now.
I got 71 at the moment. But the thing is, I'm worried. At this point, I'm worried because we just haven't had that warm temperatures that we normally have.
Hey, Dennis, Barney, you say if you got a cell phone and you go on YouTube and log in and actually you have to go through StreamYard, right?
StreamYard, yeah.
You have to go through StreamYard, and that's how you would broadcast on the show here today. If you can figure that one out. Hey, Dan.
Trying to figure out where I guess I got to just open one up.
There's
but
DC.
So yeah, that's the thing. So I've been window shopping again. That didn't last.
You need to stop buying stuff.
I'm just window shopping. I was watching Gus Mitchell's honey video and his honey sump. He's got 2 100-gallon tanks. He's got the honey sump. He's got a lot of equipment. Lots of equipment over there.
Well, he's actually, what is it? He's got a couple 20-frame extractors.
Yeah, and then basically he's got 2 lines is what he's got. He's got 2 extractors.
Hey, Randy.
The honey sump and 2 100-gallon tanks. So I guess by the time he uncaps it and extracts it and it goes into the honey sump backs up and then it turns on the pump, which pumps it into this diaphragm system, I guess what you want to call it. It's just got basically pumps up and it's got 2 valves that come through, and then he's got the paint strainers on the end of them to catch all the fine bits before it goes in. So I'm hoping that everything.
So Ziggy, where do you live at? Obviously up in Canada, I presume. 21C.
Johnston. Yeah, Johnston's that's the peach capital of South Carolina. Johnston, South Carolina.
Is that Johnstown, Pennsylvania?
It's a Johnston. So Ottawa Valley, he says. So what's on the agenda for the talk tonight, Charlie? Or are we free for all in it?
I guess it's a free for all type of thing. I guess there's nothing I haven't been been able to get into my.
You didn't get any. I got in one colony that nuke that I was putting in that 10 frame deep. they were pretty spicy.
Hey, Russell. Maybe
Really
that's the one that got a hold of James.
could have been. It was pretty tough. But it's
I don't know. Like I say, this week we've been in the hay business, and we finished up today, luckily semi early, and earlier than what we did the last couple of nights, 2 or 3 nights. And anyway, so I haven't had any time to get into the hives. And I've kind of got to the point where right now I've requeened all my nukes. And as far as I can tell, everybody's, queen, they're all queen right. And I might need to go into some of them and maybe either add a box or pull some frames out. Or what does a square? My son gets around $8 a bale, I believe it is. And sometimes it's even more than that, depending on what time of the year it is and all that. But what's Steve talking about? Yes, it is.
oh, Johnston. Rembert, South Carolina, 13. I can't hardly read all this stuff.
Mark here, he's going to buy 100 frames.
Plastic foundation. I have the frames. I've never liked it. So can y'all help? Please, can I wax them? Yes, you can. Matter of fact, you should. I have better luck when I wax them. 52 years ago. Yeah, no, that's me too. Once I started working, I was done. I kept on working the whole time.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I've got, I found 4 queenless honey hives. I dropped 3 nukes into those 4, and then the 4th one had queen cells. So
now, when you do that, like you did today, so I had those extra nukes, right? So I've been using those like that. Now, do you typically, when you drop a nuke, do you go ahead and split back to that nuke and make it a nuke again? Or I guess what I should ask is, if it was a queenless colony, instead of dropping the whole nuke in there, why wouldn't you just cage the queen, introduce that to the honey production colony that doesn't have a queen, and then let the nuke make a queen?
Well, if you drop a whole, let's say the set of 5 frames in there, she's got brood, eggs, and she's got her bees with her. So some of my hives, I could see there was a dwindling situation.
So she'd been queenless for a minute, then, for a little while.
Right. And so I put them all in there, and they boost the hive, number one, and also it gives her protection from the other bees. I think, the smell and all that stuff. Yeah. Steve says Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Yep.
So I didn't get a notification that my equipment shipped today, Charlie. So
I wouldn't think so. It's holiday weekend.
Yeah, but today wasn't a holiday. So my thought was, if it got on the road today, maybe it would get here next week, but it doesn't look like it's, and it may have, they just may not have sent me a thing saying it did. I'll get a notification, I guess, at some point that it's going. Let's see.
But the other chat that I used to get on out of Pennsylvania tonight at 9:00, they're going to have going to talk about queen rearing. And I'm like, yeah, it finally took you 6 months or more to get a chat that's a little more advanced. And
after all you noobs left, You know what that is? I'll tell you what that is. That is now all of the senior members left and started their own thing, right? So now the remaining senior members feel like they know more than the other people there. So they feel like they can teach them. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. But yeah, today was just a weird day, man. Work, everything was weird. And so we just worked all day, and then had the looked in a few bee colonies, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. If I should go ahead and just pull what I can and give it back, because it doesn't appear that, I mean, they are working on drawing comb, but it is just so slow. But then will they draw comb if I keep giving them back drawn comb already, right? They're going to always fill the drawn comb first before they start building. So that's kind of what I've been fighting with.
Right. Hey, Alex. I see Alex came in. I missed him.
Alex in there? Oh, yeah, there he is. Hey, look, Alex, DC, Russell, Steven, Robert, everybody. Everybody's here. I did take one of my nukes, experimental thing here. So I took one of my nukes that I caught, right? And they were doing pretty good in there. The one that came out of the speaker was doing really well. So I took a frame of eggs and brood out of there and split it to a 2-framer. So hopefully they make some queen cells. And then I'll do my old-fashioned cage to put the cages over the queens. Let's see how they do. And I haven't talked to Tim in a few days.
What, Tim and Hannah?
Yeah, I haven't talked to them in a few days. Gardeners, have you got, you've gotten queens from gardeners, right?
No, never have. No.
$25 mated queens. I mean, I know they produce a lot, Steven. So, I mean, I would assume
they're down there in the same area as where we get the others.
From Acorn is the cheapest place to get acorn, directly from them, Mark. Well, and I say that, but I haven't looked at like Better Bee. Better Bee likes to sell stuff cheaper than the company sells them themselves. So let's see.
I always buy direct from Acorn.
Let's see. Plastic. You're just looking for foundation, right? Not frames. Well, maybe I just need to search frame. Yeah, they're high. $350 for Pureco. That's high. I Better Be. I'm sorry, at Hilco on that particular item. Let's see. Pureco and Acorn are essentially the same exact thing.
Hey, Brad.
Bradley.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, not much.
Okay, Pureco has snap-in foundation. It says any combination of one-piece frames or snap-in foundation. If you spend $300, you get $25 off. $500, get $50 off. $1,500, it's basically 10% once you spend $500. So, ends June 1st, so that's ending soon. So get your order in over there.
Doing good, DC.
10 pack for $2.20 of double wax. That's medium.
So, Brad, how did that mated laying queen work out for you?
I checked yesterday, and I didn't see her, but I went in there and there were larvae and eggs. And it's only been, I think, 10 days.
Right.
So
Now, was that a queenless hive?
yeah,
Or was
it was totally queenless. They only had a few cat brood left in there that were hatching out. So after that, they were going to be, I mean, probably go and lay and worker.
Yeah,
So
well, not quite that quick, but yeah.
yeah.
No, I was wondering, I mean, because, like you said in the video, if you have a laying queen, they say they won't mess with her.
They got
Yeah.
100 pack of double wax for $1.75 a piece at Pureco. Triple wax is $2.05 a piece.
Yeah, I just pulled her out of a nuke.
I'm lying.
And put her. It's one that I grafted.
Mhm.
So I mean, she had been laying, I guess, for about 3 or 4 weeks, and she didn't have very many bees, but she had it. I mean, if you've seen the video, she just had like a nice little patch of brood on the frames. But I mean, she just went straight from one hive to the next, and
No
like
problem.
I said, yeah, no problems. They didn't have a queen. So I don't know what happened to that queen. I don't know if when I inspected and I had put that other box in there, if I did something or what, but I went through the whole hive because she was a marked queen too, and I didn't see her, and there was no eggs, nothing. And they
And
had
you
so
marked
many,
her, right?
yeah,
I had those hives right behind me. They're all my honey hives, or most of them. And I went through them. Oh, this spring. Oh, there's a queen, a marker. Every time I find one, I mark her.
yeah,
And I put a sticky note, one of the extreme sticky notes up there. Queen, marked yellow,
hmm
and not every one, but I'm going to say 90% of them, the ones I marked, I ain't got a queen. They went queenless on me. Now,
that's
is it the
strange.
smell of the marking that changed her and they don't like her and they balled her? Who knows? I don't
Well,
know.
the only thing difference I'm doing is that I just use that new pin, but I've always marked them before. I never had really because
I never had a problem.
I still got some yellow queens. I even have one white queen in a hive, but I had some. I just don't know what happened to it because I mean it was a big hive. I mean you could see the bees were overflowing and everything, and that queen that was in there was laying slabs of brood. I guess that's why the hive was so full, and I didn't see any like old swarm cells that were opened up or had been chewed down or anything like that. So I guess I just rolled her or
Yeah.
something.
Now,
So
Russell asked what kind of pin I use. I used a Posco. I happen to have a yellow Posco in my truck. I didn't have any Bob's. I got Bob's pins, but I haven't used them yet.
Well, that's the ones I'm using right now.
Pureco has 100 pack of single waxed foundation for $165 for 100 pack, and it's free shipping on any order over 125 bucks. So if you they got $1.95 if you get the double wax and $2.65 if you get the triple wax. So
That's just for the foundation.
yeah, that's what Mark was looking for, just foundation. He said he had frames already. So
I just got some mediums in from Man Lake. The plastic yellow mediums, yellow frame and yellow foundation.
I got something in today.
They were I want to say $369 a frame, and they were whack. And I was surprised because I was just ordering because I thought I was gonna need some, but it winds up I don't need them because we ain't got
What
no
is that?
flow.
200 micron paint strainers.
Mm.
Oh, okay. But I was surprised at the Man Lake. When I opened the box up, there must have been some freshly waxed ones because they had a really good smell to them.
Whew. So what you been up to? Mine, what I was looking at, Mark, was Pierco, PIERCO.com. They're out of California, but $1.65 a piece and free shipping.
Come on in, Alex. You weren't able to talk a lot the last time I seen you on video.
And mediums, they got medium foundation is more than deep foundation, which strikes me as odd, but
yeah, that don't make any sense.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I had virgins. I had a frame of virgins from a friend of mine. We got 7 virgins that hatched. 5 of them hatched within a couple minutes of each other. And I just took them over there, I had a JZBZ cage that I had them in, each one of them, and just let her walk right in. And no problem. I did have one that I had put in one of the honey hives, but that was the only one that didn't take. The rest of them worked out fine. I'm wondering whether it was a queen or something in there they didn't like about her or something. I'm not sure.
You just never know, man. Those early season queens like mine, you just don't know how well they got mated. You know, you just don't know until they start laying, right?
Well, now that you say that, I'm having some problems with some new ones that I did, like around, I think it was the beginning of April. And I put them in some hives and they were doing good. And all of a sudden I started checking out brood spotty.
Well, I think, is that because they're backfilling? Like mine start backfilling some pollen and stuff, and then she can't lay in it again. So it looks spotty when you look at it. But there's
I look for nectar and there's no nectar in there. It's just like she'll lay and then the larvae will start to grow and then she'll come back later and lay on the side of it, and then you got like different ages all over the place. They're not consistent. They're laying a pattern of an age. It's like every frame. It's 3 queens that I found so far that are doing it. And I'm just letting them do it right now because I'm waiting on 4 queens from Greg from Nature Safe. What is it? Nature's Image. And he's supposed to have some calmer breed because mine are just horrible. They just want to eat up every time you get in there. So I was going to start grafting maybe with something different.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been wanting to, every time I graft her, like the first of the month, you know, and then it got cold and it chilled all my brood, all my cells actually, except for one. And I don't know. And then work got busy and I've had some issues, you know, I still have some issues with my back and you know, when you're hurting like that, you don't feel like doing much of anything. And then I sold all my nukes.
That's my nuke. One of my nukes, 5 framers today. They're hanging out on the bottom board and hanging out of the front a little bit. So that one needs to go to a 10 framer pretty soon, or a double 5, you know.
So then I, you know, in order to start like a cell builder, I need, you know, resources, and I had sold all my resources basically. So I don't know whether I'll get around to making any queens this year or not. Last year,
I know today.
Fred, you're breaking up bad tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're.
Yeah.
Must be
You're froze right now.
And let's see, I got people starting to buy the pins on Amazon. Let's see, I'm a
Log out or log out, Brad, or see if it a better connection. Go back, come back in, come back in.
I'm going to be curious how this uncapper works, man. I'm excited about it, but it better work, man, for the money I paid for it. It better work. That's all I'm saying.
Main thing you got to have is honey. Honey frames.
Yeah, it'd be my luck. I won't get to use it till next year. Matter of fact, I pulled a frame because it was weird. Because they basically in the center of the frame is about this big on both sides. They haven't drawn the whole comb out, but they've already capped that centerpiece, and it's really thick. So I pulled it out and spaced the comb out that was left so they could try to make it happen, you know. Try to
Ziggy, you can raise your own queens like that, but the thing of it is it takes so long. I mean, we're not commercial, but grafting and raising your own queens, that's like the next level or step in beekeeping. And to me, it's fun. I like the challenge of it.
Well, it's fun, but the other thing that I'm hearing from people in Canada, and that's where you're at, is that your season's so short. If you do a walkaway split, you can just guarantee you're not going to make any honey on that colony that year.
Hey, Paul.
I don't know. I'm not in Canada, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
But the, you know, again, it's everybody can do their own thing, how they like to do it. Here, supposedly, we can do that walk away split and make queens and but you know, it's only 20 degrees lower than it normally would be this time of year on average. Yeah. You know? So it makes it difficult. It makes it
true. Very true.
We just let me see, Martin.
So, Paul, you say you put new boxes on your hives. Is that brand new boxes or just new supers or something like that? So, anyway. So, but that's what's happening here. Nothing really much. Hopefully, I'll have more to report. I did go through my hives. I guess it was last week in the, like I say, the virgins. Here's Alex. The virgin. There he is.
Sorry, every time I join, I have to go dig out my camera.
Why is that?
Your camera hooked up.
Here's Alex. There he is. Are you got your mute your other YouTube thing?
Yeah, I just did. Sorry about that. It should be better.
So what's up, Alex?
The ceiling. Other than that, I found a second apiary site.
That's good.
So I'll be able to have more hives.
Bring them down to Hopkins, and we're going to throw them out back here.
They won't go through the border.
They're going to fly over. You're just going to take the queen. That's all you're bringing down. And I don't know that we can't get bees from Canada. I think Canada just can't get bees from us.
Well, it's possible, but from what I heard, it's a pain in the rear.
Oh, yeah, that surprised me.
Fill a bunch of form and get specific conditions fulfilled so you can get the permit to get them across the border. Where's Brad?
I
don't know. He's probably out in his bees still.
I wanted to speak to him. Now, the reason my camera is never next to my computer, it's the same one I use for this. Then I use it to make my videos for on the apiaries and in front for live streaming.
Oh, I got you. So it's like a GoPro that you got hooked to your computer?
No, it's a Lumix G7.
Okay.
like a mid-grade camera.
So did you watch last night?
Which, well, I watched so many.
Did you see that I bought the uncapper?
Oh yes, I was. I think I was there with you last night.
No, you were there Tuesday.
Okay, sorry. Like I said, I watched so many. Like I'm subscribed to over 60 channels, and I try to watch everything.
I'm the same way, man. I get so many notifications that it's hard to keep up with.
The way I try to leave a comment like on as many videos as I can. It's a lot of even at twice the normal speed, it's a lot of watch time.
So your flow, I mean, this is normal spring for you, right? Or is it warmer or colder than it normally is in spring for you guys?
For me, it's about average. It started a little colder. We had a cold snap like 2 weeks ago. The night went just below freezing. Then it caught up. So maybe like a few days more, less than a week, I'd say. Then it's slightly cooler, but not like a whole lot. It's like tomorrow is going to be 27 Celsius. So don't ask me how much in Fahrenheit. I could ask Google, but
well, to give you an idea for us here,
my question is do you have any problems with your bees like Ian and Brad and them having this?
No. Zima. Like I had one hive, like my weakest hive that I killed because I gave it too much food and the other bees attacked. This one had no Zima, but she was recovering until I killed her. She was recovering. Sorry. So everything's pretty much fine on my end. No devastating levels of nosema.
What would you say is causing that? Because of those guys are using bee barns, or?
I'm a new beekeeper. I've been beekeeping only since 2020. The buckets maybe, but I use those as well. Except they're 3 gallons, so there's even more water on top.
So
I don't know.
I'm going to say this in C for you. So our average here is 28 C for a high and 15 C for a low. And we are currently, tonight it's going to be 58 Fahrenheit. So 58 Fahrenheit. Oh, I'm sorry. That's going to be the high for tomorrow. 58. 14 C for the daytime. So
it's going to be warmer here tomorrow. 80 Fahrenheit, 27 C. And I got to make this starter finisher. So what I'm going to have to do is go through each hive I want to use and shake all the bees in the bottom brood chamber. Put as much brood in the top brood chamber and then exclude it in the middle. And once I'm done doing that, I'll just grab 1 frame from each hive -1. I need 9 frames plus 1 empty. And then shake 2 or 3 more frames of nurse bees into the starter finisher. Then go back on Wednesday, kill any cells. And when I go back again on the next Saturday, again, check for cells, kill anything they tried to build, and graft. I'm going to graft from that very old queen, that 2020 queen. And I have 2 really strong queens that came out from winter. So I'm going to make like 1 strip from each queen. Hopefully I'll get, I don't have enough to make 30. I made.
Why are you waiting so long? You're putting in cat brood, I presume, in your cell starter.
Yeah, I'm putting cat brood and eggs, and I'm not bothering.
Now, why are you putting eggs in there? That's the first.
Yeah, but that's why I'm waiting a week. They're gonna make. I build it on Saturday, go back on Wednesday, destroy all the cells, then go back on the next Saturday, check for if they build any more cells. Then
impossible.
I know, but better safe than sorry.
So you could, if you built it on Saturday, right? If you go back in 5 days, all of the eggs that were hatched will be too old to make queens after you knock down the first round. They'll be too old for emergency queens.
Yeah, but I am limited on time. I have a day job, so that's why I'm making this way. So it fits
Yeah,
in
but
my
it don't,
schedule.
what time does it get dark there? 8 o'clock at night, or
Yeah.
well,
So
what
I
time do
see
you
that.
quit your day job?
Huh?
What time do you quit your day job?
My job ends at 5 p.m.
So you could go in Friday night. If you made it Saturday, go in Friday night, knock them down. Saturday night, go back and graft. Saturday graft and drop it in. It have been 24 hours since you knocked the cells down. All of the larva's too old to make a queen, and you're good to go. And then by the next week, you'll be able to pull cap queen cells out and put them in your incubator or in one of your other.
I'll make nukes on that. The way I had it planned was like I said, uh, build it on Saturday, the Wednesday or Thursday that follows, kill any cells. Then the next Saturday when I graft, I'll also build my nukes from there. I give them I built several boxes using Kim and Reynolds method with plywood, since it's the cheapest. It comes down to about $6. About $6 per nuke if you build them yourself, counting the glue and the fasteners and the wax. So
There
with
you go,
that,
Mark.
I had 13 nukes last year. I built 8. I also have a double nuke I bought and 4 jester boxes I'll use as nukes. So that's 27, I think, something like that. And I'm hoping to get enough to replace any old queen that doesn't perform, and go up to 30 hives ish total.
Well, Mark says, Alex, you can speed that up by using a double screen and make a queenless starter and reverse and queen right finisher.
Yeah, I really don't need to speed it up. I made it like that because it fits in my schedule and it's the least hassle. It takes more time, but it's less hassle for me. I've seen like those timing nukes or timing. I don't remember the name, but it's
Timing frame.
like a separate frame where the queen is, and I don't remember the exact details. Charlie, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the
Those
timing frame. It's a timing box.
timing
Timing
boxes.
box.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. You got that single frame box from Better Bee?
No, I don't
Okay.
have the gear to make that. That's the problem. I am very limited in my gear, in my space. I only have a tiny car, so I make do with what I have.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just off on the the timing that you guys have to do things up north is a little bit different from here, right? So the only reference I have is what I see on videos or I've heard from James, right? And what James says about the times that he does stuff to make it. So
No,
yeah,
any hive I make this year will not make honey. It's always the year after. Like
Right.
like it. I
But
made.
it seemed like James this year is ahead of everybody else who's on the East Coast.
oh yeah, he is.
Oh yes, he was ahead of us.
He was saying that he could probably make even another split if he wanted to right now. So he's at 128. So technically he could be at 250 colonies plus if he split right now. Plus, not only that, we calculated how much honey he already has in those boxes. is about 1,200 pounds. If he pulled the, 4 frames from each one of his colonies that had honey packed out on them.
My hives have barely like some of them are close to being done making their second brood chamber. Because I had some dead out, so I gave them. Oh, sorry, I hit the mic. I gave them each about 3 frames already drawn and 7 undrawn frames. Like I'll have to equalize, and I'll do this tomorrow when I made the starter finisher. But yeah, they're not quite done making their second brood chamber. And once the basswood flow hits, it's gonna get crazy. And this year, I think I'll use the basswood flow to draw next year's brood chambers, the frames. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll put one instead of using all mediums. I'll put one deep, have them draw it, and the rest is all going to be medium. So I'll get 15 drawn deeps for next year. It's going to make it much easier for the bees.
Then, you're going to use those secondary brood chambers just for splits for next year.
Exactly. So I'll get like 150 fully drawn deep frames easily from that basswood fill. Because like I said on Tuesday, I averaged 170 pounds of honey per, and that's with drawing, and that's with undrawn frames, 170 pounds per hive. Because of basswood.
That's like.
That's crazy.
That's like almost 3 times as much honey as I get.
Imagine if I had like full sets of drawn comb, how much honey I'd make. So yeah, I'm gonna use this to expand faster next year because I'm still beginning. Even like 4 years in, I feel like I know nothing. I know a lot, but it feels like I know nothing.
Well, that's how I was at the beginning of the year as well. Is that I felt like I knew a lot and was doing things right, but it took me getting on the phone and calling James up and be like, man, I just don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And he put me back on that straight and narrow path, to get me back reset. So yeah, it happens to all of us. So it's just a matter of being willing to deviate from what you're used to doing and trying new things sometimes,
That's why I watch beekeepers from all over the world, mostly Europe. I watch from Richard Knoll, Black River, Black Mountain Honey, Gwynn Griffith.
Yeah,
from Europe.
If you want to laugh, watch his channel and then put on the closed captions, and Google can't even understand what he's saying half the time.
Griff is a bit difficult to understand because of the Welsh accent.
Yeah.
There's this Australian beekeeper I watch. He's I don't remember his name. And there's I've even watched a few Japanese beekeeping videos here and there.
The Bush Bee Man.
Yes, that's him.
He's fun. I like him. He's got a great personality.
Yeah, our dearth here is July and August.
We don't have a dearth. The season's too short.
And
our
then
dearth is our winter.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of, August, I might not have a dearth this year. We didn't have one last year. But then the pollen and stuff comes in later that year or September. Then everything's over with. As far as the honey flow goes, it's April, May, and June, and you're done. So.
And then you got 9 months of 9 months of wondering if your bees are going to make it to the next.
More like
then the rest of it's maintenance. Basically, it's mite treatments and making sure you got the hives are up and running good, to get them through the winter and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
then you got to feed them in the fall.
Speaking of
and
mite
all
treatments,
that.
I gotta remember to bring my Instavap next week to because the Apivar treatments ends the sorry, English, I can speak it, I swear. The Apivar treatment ends next Saturday, and as soon as I remove the strip, I want to give them one blast of OAV and probably another one during that week just to like finish off any mites.
Now, see, you guys treat in the springtime. We don't. I don't do that. I treat.
I didn't until I saw Craig Branch do it. Then I started using Apivar in the spring.
Yeah, I treat twice a year, spring and fall.
For me, I treat. I start in the fall and go right straight through winter treating. I treat with like 3 different products. It seems to work for me for my climate, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, next spring I want to try the formic acid treatment, so I can like instead of because right now I've only used Apivar followed by OAV, but now I want to like diversify the treatments not to build up resistance.
Yeah.
Because my bees are fairly resistant. If I treat them spring and fall, I average 0 to 2 mites per hive. So it's really really low if they're treated. But I don't like. I want it to stay like that, so I'll build some more treatment variety. And apparently, I don't know if it's allowed yet, but the glycerin and OA strips will be allowed in Canada.
So who's that, Bob?
That's great news here.
I don't know. Probably a
Troll.
probably so. Yep.
We'll see what happens.
See what happens if they make it or not in tonight's live stream.
I don't know. It just
looks like looking at this map that I have a range of tension here right where I'm at for Africanized bees.
So you got what was up? Instavate?
Sorry, it's answered in French. Yes. Yes, I do. I bought one of those wonderful little machines.
From Laura Bees?
No, Dancing Bee in Canada is the biggest bee supplier, if you will.
He probably gets them from Laura Bees. That's actually the guy who
gets them from the manufacturer in Europe. I think it's Poland or not Poland, but there's Hungary maybe. So one of those. I'm not sure which country exactly, but yeah, he imports them straight from there because Laura B would not send them across the border. So he sent me the email of the guy that makes them, and he referred me to Dancing Bee in Canada.
Okay.
So this is an interesting map that I just found. Well, that's 2014. It's got the whole United States and how much honey produced per hive based on like a color map, right? And it's showing in 2014 here in South Carolina, our hives produced about 44.73 pounds per colony. And in Mississippi, there's spots that are making over 100 pounds a colony. And Louisiana, it's more like 85 pounds per colony on average, right? Let's see where Charlie is up there.
Yeah, about 50 at the most.
Yeah, it's showing about 52 pounds on average. Let's see. Trying to see. Alabama. Let's look at Alabama. Down there where Tim and Hannah are, it's showing that they should make at least in 2014, they would have made about 85 pounds a colony.
Does it say about Canada? Does it say anything about Canada?
No, this one doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know how much the new apiary site is gonna make, because it's mostly cattle around the area. So there's a lot of clover, but clover is not the main. Bees is not the main pollinator for clover. I saw a lot of dandelion, a few like scattered fruit trees. So I don't know how it will perform, but it should do at least okay. And if there's any any more of those basswood tree there, yeah, it's a really good spot. We'll see. Right now, I gotta build that cattle fence so my hives don't get knocked down, and that cost a pretty penny.
And just think, every out yard you do, you're gonna have to probably do it up there.
Well, not necessarily. If it's mainly agriculture, there's no need for a cattle fence. There's pretty much no bears in my area. It's too far south. Bears start popping up maybe 45 minutes north of where I am.
Well, you got cattle and whatever, that one place you were talking about.
Yeah, I got cattle. The guy that granted me permission to use his land raises and processes his own bovines.
Southwest Washington is about 53 pounds, about the same as what I make here. 53 to 60, depending on exactly where you're located.
So have you got a place where you can drive right up to it, Alex? You don't have to lug everything.
Yes, it gets a bit muddy, but not a swamp when it's raining. So if it's raining, I can get about halfway there, which is much closer than the current place. And there's it's an elevated dirt road, so I can use the sides of the road to avoid sinking into mud too much. So it's a much better place, and the apiary is going to be on a rock face.
Yeah, it's, being able to drive right up to your hive, and like where I'm at, I can drive along these hives here with my truck, especially in the fall. I got a tank full of 40 gallons of sugar water. I could just pump it off and feed them and not have to, carry anything. I don't like.
I made a video this spring of me bringing food to my hives, and I bought myself a small sled. I can fit 2 3-gallon buckets. So load 2 3 gallons, walk up to the hives, put them aside, go back, pick up 2. And I had to do this quite a few times because I had 13 hives when I fed them.
Yeah, I mean, it takes several gallons per hive.
Yeah, I both like and dislike the 3-gallon pails because you feed them once.
Hey, Mike.
That's the big plus. You only need to give them 1 3-gallon pail and you're done. Unlike Ian, the 1 gallons are much more easy to store. They're lighter. But you gotta fill them constantly. So there's 3 gallons for where I am now is slightly more advantageous since I don't have to trudge through mud with that much stuff regularly.
So what's Paul up to? He's out there in his bee yard, are you, Paul?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to. You were talking about how much is. Oh, am I on mute?
No, you're good now.
1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Got me.
Yeah, you're
okay.
Good. You're turkey, but good.
Hey, wanted to see if I could. I don't know once I'm on how to I can turn the camera around, but I don't know if I can.
You're froze up, Paul.
What's with the freezing cameras? Oh,
Yeah, he's outside, so I don't know whether he has enough weight.
yeah, but we also lost Brad like that.
They're both in Louisiana. Louisiana hasn't upgraded yet. They're still on wireless. They're still like,
Telegraph.
yeah. Telegraphing it to us.
Dial-up.
DSL. Remember when DSL was the thing?
Yeah, I got that. It was,
It was faster than the before, right?
There we go.
Welcome back.
Well, hey, we are in Louisiana.
You're
You
on
know,
mute.
if the squirrels ain't running, the internet ain't on. It's kind of like South Carolina. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, that's true. When I'm outside, I got nothing. And inside, I got it sometime.
Well, I don't know how to swap this camera. That's why I lost it last time. So I'll just have to turn my phone around. But
Okay.
a little bit of what I did today, I just wanted to show you is
He lost again.
He's gone.
Go ahead, Lynn. What's your question?
third
There we go.
time's a charm.
I guess.
Yeah, okay, so there's my horizontal hive, and today, it had 6 different spots in it, and I had 3 different 5-frame nukes, and today I took it from 3 5-frame nukes to 3 10-frame things, so I expanded it out.
Mm-hmm.
I also pulled out another. You can see right here, this one little 5-frame here. I pulled out a new nuke from a hive down the way, put new boxes on everything. So the flow's starting to come in. It's really not as heavy as before, but it's starting to come in. But as you can see, that's my most prolific one. So the 3 boxes on the top,
Or deeps.
those are all deeps. And let me tell you, they're about 60, 70 pounds each already. And I under-supered with this one today. So it's empty, but these 1, 2, 3 are full. So that's probably going to be at least, 150 pounds or 160 pounds, maybe 180 pounds so far off of this one. This next one over here, you can see I under-supered it with the light box here. This one was my hive that I lost last year, and it went queenless for a little while when I put a new nuke in there. So it's got a new cell in there. It's got a new box on top of it too. This is Alpha. This was my first hive from my first nuke here. And we got a under super with a box on here. And this is Charlie. 2 brood, not single brood box management, Charlie, sorry. But 2 brood boxes. And this is a new under super here with 2 other deep honey supers on top. This is the one that's kind of pissy, and I'm going to requeen or whatever after the honey flow and after we get all the honey in. But man, this one lights me up every time I try to get in it. So we'll see what happens there. But once the honey flows over, I am putting a new queen in this one. So that's what my apiary looks like right now. And then way down at the end on that set of shelves at the end is a swarm I caught this year. And it's kind of sitting up at the top of that. And I'm just kind of leaving it right now just to see what happens with it. So that's what's going on in my neck of the woods.
Yeah,
That's good.
Looks like you got a bunch. I saw, was it Bruce's channel where he was saying that the tallow has started for him on Slocum, and they're starting to
Yeah, and Mike Berry too. I saw he said that's starting to come in over there, but I stopped down the street. There's a tallow tree down the street, and I stopped on the way home, and it had, it had the little thing sticking out here with the buds on it. But when I put my hands on the buds, all the buds were falling off, like it was not going to bloom. So I don't know where they're getting it from. The tallow flow is not really here yet, but I mean, you can't argue with 3 deep boxes of honey coming in and the weight that's in those already. I don't exactly know where they're getting it from right now, but I don't care.
Right.
as long as they're bringing it in, we're good.
As long as it's coming in. So, what was Lynn's question?
She had,
what do I do if I don't have any drawn comb at the moment? Like me, pray. pray they draw it out. You put some comb in there. What I find is if I checkerboard, I get really fat on one and really thin on the other. So I tend to just drop a whole box on there, and as they draw it out, I kind of take a frame out.
yeah, Tim helped her out. He just added some frames. They ought to draw it out after a while. Then she'll start laying.
I'm just praying we get.
Yeah, so some of those boxes that I put on there and under supered with them, I did put some of them I did pull one frame of honey up into that box just to entice them. But a lot of the rest of that up there is just foundation. So hopefully they will draw it and fill it as it comes.
Yeah, that's what I did on several of them the last week, I guess it was. Is if I made a 9-frame box of honey super where they had filled it out and I wanted to draw it out wider, I took that frame. I'm like, okay, where did I put it? One super, I did have enough to make another 9-frame super, but of drawn wax with honey in it. But like you say,
right.
I put one frame in there and put foundation, the rest, and let them draw it out, see what happens. And all the.
Yeah, if I got drawn comb, I'll try to space it out in a 9-frame configuration. But if it's just foundation and one comb that I bring up from down below, I still keep it in a 10-frame configuration until they draw all that out.
Yeah, what I've noticed in my problem is that, like last year, I have drawn comb, but they want to put bridge comb in between it, even though it's drawn out. So this year I said, okay, I'll put 10 frames in, let them fill it with nectar, and then pull a frame out real quick and space it out and see if that will reduce the bridge comb, which it has. And it seems to be working and all.
Hey, Brad.
So what? You're back.
So Brad.
Go ahead, hey, Paul.
What's the flow looking like up there in where are you, Avoyles Parish? How does that look up there?
None.
Zero.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean, we got them in the like in the brood chambers, but
you need to go to your recliner where we can hear you.
Is it still cutting out or something?
Yeah.
In and out. You got the same Louisiana internet that I do, you know.
Well, I went and fed the armadillos to make them spin the wheel, but
yeah, the squirrel's got to keep running. That's right.
We got armadillos over here.
Well, you know, you guys give me hope.
They're a little slower.
Your flow's coming on a little bit later, which gives me hope because we usually follow a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks behind y'all. So
well, we had like on the tallow trees budded like and made like one bloom on each branch, but now they got little ones that are coming out, and there's like 3 or 4 per section. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
they blew them all the way out.
I'm not optimistic with the tallow. Like I said, I went up and pulled on the blossom, and all the buds were falling off before it even bloomed.
That's not good.
No, it's not. But they're still getting it from somewhere. So, you
But
know,
it's
I don't
not, it's
take,
not
you
a
know,
lot.
they don't tell me where they're getting it from when they come back in the hive at night. So,
Yeah, Mike, I've sprayed sugar water on wax foundation to get them to draw it out, or try to get them to draw it out. Either they go clean it out and then go back down and don't do anything with it. But yeah, so definitely not getting that pop that we normally get, that real hard flow at one time. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe that's giving my colonies to get another round of brood in, you know, another round of brood in there.
yeah, usually the end of May, first week of June, the tallow is hitting, and they'll fill a deep box in a week if you're not prepared.
I don't have anything
Not
like that. I need to
Same with
find
not so much this week.
I need
Sorry,
to
Charlie?
find farmers.
Draw and fill one medium super in 1 week. It's insane. I love it. Now,
Yeah.
if I could, all I need to do is get better at selling it.
Matter of fact, I might put that. I'm gonna put that on the book of faces, and see if anybody's got a cotton fields they need pollinated.
Yeah, so I've got pretty much 4 production hive, maybe 5 this year, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional hive, 6. So I'm up to about 11. And East Baton Rouge Parish says I can only have 4. So I've got to find a new place to house a few of them myself.
They got a limit on what you can have?
Yeah, based upon your lot size.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're in the city?
Well, I'm in a neighborhood. I'm in a subdivision.
Okay.
I did make sure that my neighbors were not like EpiPen allergic to it before I even started. So, and you know, a pound of honey to all the neighbors cures a lot of ills.
Yeah. But I bet you could find a farmer not too far from your house. And then
Well,
there's
what
no
I tried
limit.
I was talking the other night, what I tried to do is, you know, the houses that flooded here in Louisiana, FEMA bought up the land and they can never build a house there again. So I was trying to get some of that FEMA land just to put some hives on it. And that hasn't gone so well right yet. But they said it has to remain open space. And I said, well, it will remain open space. I said, give me a lease on they won't sell it to me. Well, give me a lease on it for 30 years or whatever. So we're still trying to go down that road, but right now it hasn't been very fruitful.
Yeah, for my part, I've just been like looking at satellite images. I spotted a nice place and I couldn't find the guy's phone number, so I just went to his door, knocked, asked permission. He said, "Come back on Sunday." He showed me around and he said, "Oh, I give you permission. You can put your hives here." So you might want to
good
do
deal.
that.
Well, one of the things I was looking at too is like the
Bring some
let's
of
look
your
at the
honey.
power line or the gas pipeline right of ways. You know, those are long areas, and you can just put them right up next to the woods right there where they've got the gas pipeline or power lines running down the middle. Why couldn't you use that space?
Have you found out anything about that?
I have not. You know, they have to keep it mowed and they have to keep it cleared, and you would have to keep your hives off of the actual area. But I need to talk. There's a cell tower and a gas pipeline that's about 1.5 miles from my house, and I need to talk to those people and see if I can put some hives down that line.
I mean, if
That's the kind of place, you know, hey, it's land that's just sitting there fallow, right? So, hey, why not use it?
Yeah, and you don't have to put it straight where they mow, just inside the woods, just a bit, and you're fine. Well, you do need permission.
Right. Right.
Well, I seen a episode of the wildlife and fisheries where it had some men who had hives on public land, and they made them move them. They said they weren't
Really?
allowed to have any hives on public land.
See, why not? It's public. I'm JQ public, right?
Yeah, but it can cause harm to other people.
Yeah. I don't think a pipeline right away or a power line right away. Nobody's going to be walking down that right away, right? Who else uses that land? Not many people.
Yeah,
It's usually
the logic behind it is that they don't want to risk being liable.
that's
Yeah.
right. So, do you indemnify them, saying I'm taking full responsibility for my bees?
I don't know if that will work, honestly.
Yeah, it's the problem is it's just too easy just to say no.
Well,
rather
you
than
probably-
giving an opinion.
You would probably have to have some kind of insurance and stuff like that before they would even allow anything like that, because a lot of the right-of-ways pass through public land, and I know you're not going to be allowed to put it anywhere on public land. The only right-of-ways you'd bet to put it on is maybe like a farmer or a lease, a hunting lease or something like that. But
Actually, most of the right-of-ways are private land that they have a servitude or right-of-way on. So it actually belongs to the landowner. And then, let's say, Coleco or Entergy or whoever down here in Louisiana for the power, they actually have a right-of-way on that, or Entergy gas line or Mid-South gas pipeline or whoever it is. They've got a right-of-way to put their pipeline on that land, center line of the pipeline plus 25 feet on either side, but they don't own the property. They just got a right of way to have it under the ground. So it actually is on private land. So you're actually dealing with private landowners.
Even like the hunting leases that the pipelines run through, they cannot put any kind of deer stands on. It has to be against the tree line away from the right of way. They can't put one in the middle of the right of way. They just won't let them. Anyhow,
usually you can't put a permanent structure. If you've got just a tree deer stand or something, I don't think that would be a problem. But you can't put any permanent structure where they've got access, so impeding their access to their right of way. I guess I'm getting dark here. You can't even see me anymore, huh? I'll start moving back in.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
I mean, look at this. I mean, can't be worse than this.
Well, we get good light from this.
Hey, Brad.
It's gotten dark out here.
There's a guy.
Well, I just wanted to show y'all what I was doing today, and while you're on tonight, and I still got some things to do this evening, so I'll let you go, and I'll keep listening in the background.
There's a guy in Montgomery, Alabama, selling a Simple Harmonies uncapper for $300.
Well, is that better than $4,000 that you just paid for yours, Bob?
No, I don't like those. That's why I didn't buy it to begin with.
What kind is that?
That's the one like Bruce. I think Bruce Jenny's got one. It's got like the white thing and the blades. So
I don't like that.
It puts a lot of wax into a little small pieces of wax into the honey.
That's exactly my problem. That's exactly why I went with the one I went with.
That's why I don't like that one.
And me personally, you get a lot of tiny wax out of that, but you don't get a lot of wax cappings out of that.
Right.
So, and me personally, I like the wax cappings to redo my frames the next year. So I like slicing them cappings off and melting them down and using them to wax.
Yeah, I
frame.
like the sliced wax cappings. I don't like the little ones that are in 50 million pieces of chunk, which that other one does.
That's the one with the chains, like Mr. Ed got.
Yeah.
And that when that thing first came out, it was like you had to go up and down a couple times because it doesn't hit every cell and slice it. And there's not every cell was open. And
Yeah, those
I
chain
didn't.
uncappers tear the surface of the comb up, well, the surface of the cappings. It doesn't slice. So
Don't-
if the chains are not exactly the same length, you're gonna get the
Yeah, but
result.
what this is they're like little round knives, and you're slicing, you're slitting, I guess you would say, the uncappings open to let the honey come out. And it just when I seen that,
It-
and they wanted a lot of money for that thing too.
Don't get me wrong; it does a decent job at slicing all the cells open. You just shove it up and down 3 or 4 times, and you're good to go. So it's fast and it's efficient, but it puts a lot of junk in the honey that can essentially blind out one of your those sieve screens that you put above your bucket. It blinds those out pretty quickly.
The same thing happens when I use that roller, pizza roller thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see if
So it does. So Bob, what you bought was a heated knife slicer, right?
Yeah, basically it's like a
Queen and capper.
like a queen or silver queen. Is that what Cayman's got?
Yeah.
But Cayman's got the one that's automatic, right? The it feeds the frames in automatically, where my blades move automatically, but I have to hand crank the frames down myself.
Okay, but is yours a chain uncapper, or is it the hot blades?
Hot blades.
No, that's nicer.
Steam blades.
Yeah, the chain chews it up just like that Harmony Farms one. So if you got a chain, all it's doing is flopping that around and knocking everything open.
Just beats the crap out of the comb.
It does, and you end up with a lot of nice little chunks of piece of wax or whatever down in. So you got a slurry down at the bottom of the tank rather than nice honey.
How many frames does that uncapper you bought hold? Like, can you put like 3 or 4 up there and then like crank?
Yeah, it holds like 5, I think.
Okay.
And crank them through, and you drop another 5 and then crank them through, and the table will hold 30. One, as it pushes them through.
Well, that ought to be pretty efficient.
And then
it's good if you got up to 100 hives. That should be working great.
And then I got my other uncapping tank, right? The one that I bought last year, so I can just transfer them over once I load. So I can load 30, and then basically while it's spinning that 15 minutes, I could uncap 70 more waiting.
Okay, so my question, Bob, is what's the benefit that caused you to spend $4,000 on this one with a hand crank, as opposed to the heated V heated knives or whatever in your other one? Did that one just not work well for you?
Well, I used that one time, and it might work better, but you have to have really fat comb to use that tabletop slicer one.
Okay.
So, and then you have to adjust blades, right? So,
so if the capping is only at the edge of the wood, if it's only wood high, you're saying that one doesn't work very well.
Right. So it's got to be, it's got to be higher than the wood. Well, the new one will have to be a little bit higher than the wood too, but it'll cut it right to the wood. Where the other one, you have to manually adjust the blade height. And I found when I was using it, it did work if I had fat comb, but I found I was still tearing up a bunch of comb. And so I used it one time.
But that one's like $400 or $500. So now you're going 10 times the price. Is it worth 10 times the money?
Well, hopefully the automated part and the fact that the blades are vibrating themselves, it should, hopefully, in the long run, it'll pay for itself. But, don't know.
Give us a video. I want to see it working.
It'll be the great waste of money.
What
But I
you
mean,
could do,
Let me. I'm jumping off here for a second. Hold on.
what you could do, Bob, is take a drill and attach it to the crank, so it's fully automated.
just squeeze the trigger
Yeah,
and let it
with
push.
a rubber band, like fully
Well,
jury
you
ready.
know, here's the thing. I don't have enough to be automated like Cayman and those other guys, right? I don't have that type of system. But I feel like being one man, and if I can get, let's say 10 boxes off the colonies, that'll really make it a lot quicker to uncap instead of uncap. And here's the other thing about the tabletop uncapper is you got to do one side, pull it back, flip it over, do the other side. So it's an extra step.
I hated that from tangential extractor. Flipping the comb is.
In the new one, you crank the handle, but it cuts both sides at the same time. So that's faster in itself. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think long term it's going to be worth it.
I was thinking 400, Dennis. I paid $435 for it plus shipping, and you cannot buy that uncapper for less than $495 right now. So plus shipping. So, and I've used it literally one pull last year, and then I went to the roller. So it's could be a bargain, but you got to have a uncapping tank that'll fit on. And that's the other problem with it. I had the 1500 millimeter uncapping tank, but when you put the uncapper on there, you lose most of your frame storage because of the size of the slicer there. But it still could work. It still works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Charlie, what do you use?
I use a
Uncapping plane.
Maxant hand plane where you just draw. You're supposed to draw the length of the comb. I draw it across the comb.
That's that heated one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I use a heated knife, and I use the little one that looks like yours, but it's not heated. It's just a knife. You ever seen those? They got the little flat plane with a little teeth in the back of it?
Yeah. I bought one of them, and I think it lasted 5 minutes.
What?
And it broke.
Oh, well, you must have bought a cheap one.
Well,
you must have bought that Amazon one.
Well, those things, I mean, even the heated uncapping knife or, from like Pierce, I mean, they're $200.
Yeah, I bought a heated one. He had them on sale, I think a year ago, or maybe I bought it 2 years ago for $160. So I bought one, and it works good. I only like it though on the medium supers because you can reach all the way across the wood. It's a little, I mean, you can on the deep frames, but you don't have no work action with it. You got to just kind of like move straight up. So it's a little.
Well, that's why I think James told him Pierce or Pierco or whatever it was.
Pierce.
Said he needed a longer knife and uncapping knife, and they actually made one. But I bought a guy out years ago, and he had a Maxant, I think 8-frame extractor or something like that, and it had this. He had a Maxant honey plane, and he also had a couple hot knives, and I tried both. I like the hot plane. It cuts the wax off real thin sheets, about the thickness of a paper towel, and I just run it across, and then it kind of has a cup, and I just dump that wax capping sheet and into the uncapping tank. I use a Hive Butler uncapping tank, which works fine. And then I have an 18-frame Man Lake extractor I bought 4 or 5 years ago.
Ooh, I might have a
that's what I use.
I a trademark violation against Better Bee.
What's that?
They got a honey rustler jacket, but my name is trademark, bitches. So you got to change that. You got to change that.
It's what, Honey
So-
Wrangler?
No, it's called a honey rustler jacket from DJ Sheriff, a favorite among beekeepers. So I need to go ahead and send them a letter with my trademark information. They have to rename theirs.
Well, tell them, you'll cut them a deal if you make you a dealer.
Make me a dealer and send me some free
$500 in shipping back.
The
right.
Sheriff Honey Rustler Custom. That's what it's called. It said Better Bee. Go ahead and send them that trademark information. Come on over, doing 8 of them. I posted that post about the cotton, and a guy responded to me, and he said they have to be planting heirloom cotton. The new varieties have nothing to offer bees. He says he has got a few hives, not far from me actually, that have had several hundred acres of cotton with no honey yield. So I don't know that much about cotton, but everyone says they move their stuff to cotton fields. So I thought I would give it a go.
Yeah, I'm not at a point where I want to pollinate. Moving hives for me would be pretty much impossible. In my tiny Chevrolet Malibu. I mean, I could move 2 hives at a time.
Make 20 trips.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think
maybe
Tractor
3.
Supply owes me some trailer rentals, so I could just go rent one of their trailers and free of charge and drop them off and then bring it back. Randy, good job. Soybeans, it's the same, huh? So, yeah, I mean, the fields that they kind of alternate here, I think corn one year and soybeans the next year. And right now it's on a corn cycle. So,
yeah, corn
Yeah,
is useless to bees.
I got soybeans planted right above me there. And I watch soybeans, and there is a small little blossom on there, but most of that stuff is more of it's been hybrid to the point where it's more of a wind pollination type thing. If it really even really needs any pollination at all. So,
well, I went back out to that church that had the swarm in the bush, right?
mhm.
And I had left a swarm trap out there, and I left it on their little patio. And I went out there the other day to rebait it, and it was moved from where I put it. So I rebaited and put it where I had it in the corner by the bush. And I decided yesterday I was going to stop back by there, and it was moved again. So I loaded it in my truck and carried it home. I said, if I'm going to keep putting it here and you guys are going to keep moving it, then you don't need it. So that's I went ahead and brought that on back. And I've still got to do that cutout, but it rains every day I'm off. So it's like, how can I go do a cutout in the rain? New soybeans are self-pollinating. That's crap.
Same with corn. It's wind pollinated. It's useless to bees.
Yep. And the thing of it is I can't remember exactly what it is, but certain blooming plants, the old stuff the bees love, and the newer stuff that they modified, they bees won't go to them because they're modified. You know, I don't know whether it's modified the color or just what it is. I think of what I listened to somebody, they were talking about that. I forget what it was though, what they were talking about.
Yeah, and there's a lot of debate over whether or not those neonicotinoids or whatever that they're putting on those seed coatings or whatever now and systemic in those plants is how it affects the bees as well.
Well, actually, you know, up here they're bashing. They've been bashing that for 10 years or more.
Yeah.
And with the neonics where they seed coated, if you listen to Bob Benny, that guy down there, he was talking about him putting hives. He went out of business, but anyway, he put hives around cotton fields when they used to spray pesticides, and it used to, you know, knock the snot out of his bees. And then when the neonics come out, they don't, you know, with that, they don't spray anymore. They don't spray no more. Anything they might spray is a fungicide. And actually, he said his bees actually did better with the neonic planting of whatever.
Right.
And that kind of stuff. So
yeah, there's a lot of controversy out there about it, you know. So it's still a big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a systemic. It is systemic in the plant, though, so it goes all the way to the blossom as well. Not
true, but we don't get it. You know, it kind of depends on, you know, what type they're like Mark's talking about soybean, nectar, and whatever. Depends on what they're planting, what type of variety it is, and all that. I mean, it's just like wheat. We plant here in Maryland winter wheat, which you plant it in the fall, comes up about 6 or 8 inches, looks like grass almost, and then it goes through the winter, and then it grows come springtime, and you harvest it in July. Whereas out in where Ian is, which he's in the Midwest, or like even in the Midwest of the United States, they plant red wheat, which is they plant that in the springtime, and it's a different type of wheat. And it was developed, from what I understand, because of a fungus or something like that way back when, in order to counteract that stuff. So that's how all that kind of came about. And then somebody was talking about alfalfa in one of the states where they live. Oh, I guess it was Brian out there in Colorado. And I said, but now I asked him, I said, do they let it bloom? Because most farmers around here cut it every 28 days. We had some of it for a while. And you don't want it to be in full bloom, only about 1/3 of the bloom. And then you cut it because the bloom takes the energy out of the plant, where you want that energy in the stem of the plant for the cattle to eat. And,
yeah, you're cutting it for hay, not for bees. Yeah.
Yeah, you're cutting it for hay for the cattle. It was developed for the dairy industry in order to produce a lot of milk, because it's high energy. Then the horse people got a hold of it, and it's like giving I don't know, like go-go juice for the horses and stuff. It makes them hot, you know, as far as wanting to move. You know, there's
horse rocket fuel, huh?
Yeah, it's about what it amounts to. Clover honey. There is no clover honey that I know. I mean, we have white Dutch clover around here. Now, a lot of people call clover honey, like out there in James, which is that sweet clover, which is like a yellow clover. It's a real tall plant. We don't have that really grown around here that I've recognized. No real amount of anything. It might be in the ditches somewhere, but that's about it.
And you got red crimson too, so.
Not too much. I've seen one farmer about I don't know, about 6, 7 miles up the road, actually planted a plot of red crimson clover. That'd be nice if they did that around here.
There's the same fellow that was selling that Simple Harmony. He's selling a 100-gallon bottling tank, not heated, but
It's just a storage tank then.
made by Kelly, and he's selling it for $400. It says honey tank with lid and stand.
Start building that honey house, Bob. You ready to go?
I already got all that stuff, man. I'm just telling people that are in Alabama they can go get it if they want it.
Yeah, but my question to that is I know I put my honey in buckets, and I know that my honey in buckets will crystallize in, let's say over a 3 or 4 month period. So how are you going to decrystallize 100 gallons of honey in a tank like that?
Submersion heater
with a blowtorch. Yeah,
Fire under it.
they got.
Yeah, that's right. A
sell it.
submersion heater would work, or a blanket, one of them high-end blankets. Yep. But that's a lot of work.
Mr. Ed uses a blanket for his barrels.
Right.
I've seen
He said it takes about a week.
Like 5-gallon buckets. Here it's $300 Canadian. You can get one.
What's that? Blanket?
Blanket for heating a 5-gallon bucket.
Or you can go out and get yourself a free refrigerator that nobody wants anymore because it's broke.
I don't have room for that.
Spend about $75 maybe for a Inkbird controller and a heat lamp.
Yep.
And now you got a place you can put at least 3 5-gallon buckets in there and keep it at 110 degrees.
That's what I do.
The room.
Huh?
I could if I had the room.
Oh, there's room. There's a corner right behind you there. You can put it right in your corner.
No,
Yeah, take that.
There's
Take that thing off the wall.
A corner. Then there's all my Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's full. My
That's
house
where
is
you're
full
gonna put
everywhere.
your 35-gallon pails of honey back there. The Great Wall of Buckets.
I had taken a refrigerator out of one of our apartments, and I made the top into like a incubator type, and then I made the bottom into a honey warmer. Yeah,
that's what I got. And the problem I found with that after doing it, and I still use it, is that if you're using your hot box, it heats your incubator upstairs too hot. Trying to keep it at 93 degrees exactly, you can't have it 110 in the bottom. So,
well, I blocked off the hole from the top to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And I got my controller has two set points with 2 thermistors. So I got a light bulb in the top with a fan, and I got a light bulb in the bottom with a fan.
Yeah, Hope says about a chest freezer. Same thing. That's what I do. I think is I have a controller that keeps that temperature within 3 or 4 degrees.
A chest freezer would probably work even better because you could, stand up buckets in there. You could probably add more buckets.
You could, but then you got 60 pounds. You got to reach over to try to get them up out of there. That's the only problem with that.
What I did last year is I got a blue plastic barrel with a lid on it.
Yeah.
And I put a cinder block in it, standing it on its end, and a I guess a 300-watt halogen, one of those work lights that you put outside. Mm-hmm. And I put that inside and shined it right onto the cinder block, and then put a 5-gallon bucket on top of that. And in about 2 days of letting that light in there go, it decrystallized that 5 gallons. It worked pretty well.
So did you take and put the 55-gallon drum upside down over top of that?
No, it was standing on top. It had a lid on top, and then I stuck the cinder block and the light down inside of it, and then put the 5-gallon pail on top of the cinder block. but I didn't shine the light directly on the pail. It was shining onto the cinder block just to heat the whole.
Yeah, I was just the fact that you had to lift that 60-pound bucket up. That's the killer for me.
Yeah.
Before I made my hot box, I was using my old Smoky. It would fit exactly 1 5-gallon bucket inside, and I would just set the temperature for like 110 degrees. And the only thing is, you can only set the temperature for 24 hours. So every morning I would just, when I wake up to go to work, I just reset the temperature. And it usually take about 3 days.
That sounds like it worked pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't put
what's an old Smoky?
Well, it's a smoker that it has a glass door on it, and you add the little wood pellets in the bottom, and it's electric. And the heating element burns the wood pellets to smoke. But if you don't put any wood pellets, then it just becomes basically an oven. So
yeah, I've got a master built that's about the same thing. I wonder if that would work.
Yeah, I just took out the 2 top shelves that you would like normally smoke meat on. I just left the bottom shelf in there, and I slipped the 5-gallon bucket in there, and I just set for, like I said, for 110 degrees. It even came with a little remote that I would keep on my chair at night. I would just reset it before I go to bed.
Makes your honey taste like pulled pork on mesquite pulled pork or something?
No, you got to keep your lid on tight.
Tony Sacchieri's flavored honey.
We use the Tony Sachers down here, let me tell you.
Yeah.
My speaking of weird honey, my very, very first harvest when I lost all my hives, I extracted all the honey, and it tasted a little, like just a bit of like smoke, enough to make it pleasant, but still like noticeable. And like I gave some to family, and it went out like this.
Smoked honey.
Smoked honey is really good.
Oh, that'll be a whole new thing. I'll just put some apple wood on one side, then you got applewood smoked honey, and then you got the mesquite honey. That's $35 an 8-ounce jar right there.
There you go, Bob. You'll pay for that new equipment pretty quick.
Salmon smoked honey. We'll put a salmon on one end of the smoker. And
seriously, you should try it out. Like if you can make, if you can hit the right. Mine got to the right spot by accident, but if you can hit just the right amount of smoke taste in the honey, it's really, really, really good.
Well, how did the smoke get?
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that now. Now that you said that, Alex, I'm gonna have to give it a try.
How did the smoke flavor get in your honey?
Because a lot of it was in the brood chambers, I think. And when I dumped the hives, I used a lot because I lost all the queens in fall due to swarming, because I had the knowledge but didn't know how to apply it. So at the end of my first years, all my colonies swarmed themselves queenless. So I had to dump the bees to save the comb. So I used a lot of smoke. I think either that or because some of it came from the brood chambers.
Oh, okay.
So, like, somewhere along the way, it picked up a little bit of smoke flavor, and it made it really good.
So it's not after you extracted your smoke and you're
uncapped.
What?
Go ahead, Paul.
I said you must have had a lot of uncapped honey.
Maybe. Like I said, that was in 2020, so I don't quite remember.
So what you're saying is, instead of pine straw, I need to be putting apple wood or mesquite in my smoker.
Maybe it would, like a smoke that smells good. So you get a honey that, like, I used pine needles, so it was pine smoke honey. But if you want something like I don't know, like you said, apple wood. If you like the smell of apple wood smoke, try it. But I don't know what's the right amount, so do it at your own risk.
Huh.
Well, next time you need to count, is it 2 puffs per frame or 3 puffs per frame?
Uh,
Yeah, we need to talk to Brian out there in Colorado and see what he's putting in his smoker in 2 puffs or 3 puffs, right?
Magic honey.
That's that
or it'd be
mood
like,
honey.
let's see, what was it? Hope says put liquid smoke in there.
The Happy Mood honey. That's what he can start selling. The Happy Mood honey.
Man, I'm not happy with
Mikey.
speaking of honey. I'm not happy with this
Are
honey.
we going out on safari, Mike?
Oh, there's Big Mike. How's the weather up there?
Well, my head's sunburned.
Turn your mic up a little bit, Mike.
You don't know how.
Can you hear me?
Hardly.
Mike, adjust your mic.
Brian said his bees are mellow.
Yeah, mellow,
They
mellow.
stagger.
Be my
They
luck,
stagger.
they would get the munchies and eat all the honey in the colony.
They stagger on the
That's right.
frames.
Got to hit the. You want to hit the Taco Bell at 1 a.m. when you eat that honey, huh?
Taco Bell at 1 a.m. Bathroom at 2 a.m.
Exactly.
Man, I can't stand Taco Bell.
Never went there. I'm not a junk food enthusiast.
Oh,
So, Mike, you got a snow melt up there? Can you actually see your hives now?
can't hear him at all now.
He went the
You're
wrong way
mute.
with that
You're
mic.
mute.
Nope.
Mike, that's not a wind diffuser on your mic. It's your cat. Get him off the mic. Your cat sitting on the mic.
I'm sorry. Is this really muted?
You're really low.
We barely can hear you.
It's this damn Linux machine I have here. I can't really adjust the audio on this particular camera.
You're
all
getting
that
better.
well. Sorry.
That's a little better.
It's
You look
better.
like you went on a safari in Hawaii.
Well, I'm wearing the hat because I've gotten so sunburned working outside today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you've been
Yep.
burning up there pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we can't hear you because that shirt you're wearing's a little too loud.
Hey, this shirt cost me $3.85 at the Goodwill. So shut the. Oh, sorry.
That's the premium line.
You got your money's worth then, huh?
You know,
Oh,
you're supposed to be dropping off at the Goodwill, not picking up.
no. Truth be told, I have such a collection of Hawaiian shirts. It's kind of frightening. So, Charlie, are you supposed to get some rain popping up there this week? No, you're not.
Maybe Sunday or something
That's
like that.
what it
I
was.
heard.
Okay. Yeah. So that's hey,
Yeah,
Brad,
something's
when
off the
you,
Gulf Coast
honey
right now.
Oh, Brad, when you were putting your honey in the smoker there,
Mm-hmm.
did it taste like possum?
Armadillo, man. Armadillo.
Armadillo.
Man, Cajuns don't eat
Nutria.
possums.
Nutria.
Nutria.
There is literally a mill here out in one of the small towns, and it's called Nutria. You know, an old grain mill. And I looked at that and I thought it's been that name for 50 years or longer than that, actually. But I just had to. I almost got a picture of it. Dan says
down
we
here-
shop at the same place.
Down here, we put that in a sauce pecan, huh?
What?
Nutria.
Man, I wonder what those taste like.
Rat. Big ones.
Tastes like chicken.
See, Bob, you got me there because I got no reference point. I've never eaten rat before. So tell me,
Me
what's that
neither,
taste like?
but it is a rat, so I would assume if it is a rat, it would taste
Hey,
like
Charlie. Charlie, my wife just brought me popcorn.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's grand.
With
Alex,
honey, with
sorry
honey
to hear
drizzle.
about all your bees swarming there. I had one hive that I didn't stand, and it did that, and yeah, she came back, and yeah, didn't get the nurse bees in. That's just the dickens. So, anyways, yeah. So how's that blueberry honey going there for you in New York?
Who?
Well, I think
Daisy?
Mr. Hale was showing us how to make blueberry flavored honey before. Was that somebody else?
Daisy.
That was somebody else,
Oh,
not me.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's
Well,
supposed to
I've made
bring
some.
here.
I bought some blueberry powder this Christmas, and I just blended it in, gave it to family for Christmas as a gift.
Sounds delicious.
It is. It tastes a lot like candy, like those, like it tastes almost fake candy. It's crazy, and I know it's like bio-certified blueberry powder mixed with honey. But it tastes like I don't know if you bought those tiny candies when you were a kid. Like they look like strawberries, like bright red strawberries. Tastes almost like that.
Oh, that's a long time ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
crazy. It tastes it tastes almost fake. I couldn't believe it. I also made cacao powder, raspberry, strawberry, banana honey is really good, and I used hot peppers, not jalapenos, but I
Habanero.
don't remember. I used ghost peppers and another one. It turned out really spicy. Gave that to one of my brother. He loves spicy food, and I also made one of those for my neighbors. He bought it from me.
Well,
And,
sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's really really good.
But banana flavored, I wasn't ready for that one.
Yeah, I was surprised by the taste. It's really good. Banana, cacao, and honey tastes like fudge. And yeah, banana honey, like banana powder, like you just buy like on Amazon, powdered banana and just blend it in.
It's
How about just like an extract? Would that be easier?
I guess if it's natural extract, but banana extract, I've never heard of that. Besides,
Yeah,
I
you can
wanted
get.
some of the actual fruit in the honey. That was the point. That's why I chose powdered fruit.
Oh, because we use the extract for like in a banana cake or something like that.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but artificial extract,
So, Mike, are you got honey supers on?
I do. Charlie's funny. I was talking to Russell Cooperman yesterday morning, and we were each going through our hives. And I went to shake off a frame of bees, and a rain of nectar came off it. It just, I've never seen more nectar this time of year.
Right.
I shook my frames and the broods started falling out. They're so starving for honey.
Oh no!
It was raining brood.
Oh, there's a bad picture for you. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, Alex, Russell makes creamed honey, but it was solidifying on him too much, and he was using blueberry powder and whatnot. And what he was finding was that it was just taking too much of the moisture out, but he already had low moisture honey. So, and it was just solidifying to the point where it just wasn't really spreadable anymore.
okay.
I guess if you had something like 18 and 19%, it would probably be pretty good. But he started going over to, there's another thing you can do. It's kind of interesting. You take frozen blueberries and put them in a food processor and just roll the crap out of them and mix that into, but that's creamed honey. I'm sorry. I'm getting off on a different tangent. I apologize. Hey, well, you want to get in on this? Yeah. I think he's the Siamese is looking for Brian, I think. So that's what's going on there. How's the honey super and nectars for all you folk?
Not yet for me.
My honey supers are just taking up space to let the bees have a place to hang out.
Yeah, me too. They got every one of them's got for rent or vacancy on it. Right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, there was no flow, and I had so many bees hanging out the front of the hives. I just put the supers on them just so they can have places to hang out and keep the hive a little bit cooler. And basically all they did was just clean up all the frames, the old brood comb, and they got the brood comb looking good. They just ain't got nothing to go in it.
Well, we got the
We haven't had the pop, but we've gotten it coming in from somewhere.
Okay.
We got the
So you said you were shaking nectar out of your frames. Where's it coming from, Mike?
There's so many things that are in bloom here. It's hard to tell. It's pretty brutal. Not
Kind of
brutal.
Heinz 57, huh?
Well, okay. So I was riding on the south side of the lake over to the wood mill, and just on my bicycle, and I was trying to count all the different plants that were flowering, and there were just too many of them. It was really interesting. We have such a variety of the plants that are flowering that are in the marshes and bogs, and then we have some not any of the bigger trees are coming up, but it's pretty much all wildflower, bush flower. So,
take it when you can get it.
Does anybody
absolutely
have any of that mountain laurel nearby?
I don't.
They said that's some nasty tasting stuff.
Oh,
toxic, wasn't it? Didn't he say it was toxic, Bob Benny?
Yeah, it's slightly toxic. If you eat too much, you could get sick.
Okay.
I mean, that must be horrible to have to, maintain your bees to where they. I mean, how do you know what they mixing in?
Yeah.
You
That's why I say my bees don't tell me when they come back. When they're foraging and coming back in, they don't give me a list.
They don't.
Yeah.
Well, you got stupid bees.
They don't tell me where they've been. And it's kind of like Las Vegas. What happens out there in the foraging land stays in the foraging land.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Michael Buck was saying something about that he's in the dearth and the bees are robbing. Put your robber guards up and you can put some open feed up, but make it really, really, really thin so they're not bringing that up, and storing it. That's my answer to that thing. You guys want to jump in on that one?
I think we're getting ready to pop here. I'm thinking we are. We're usually
I wish
you guys down there in Louisiana, but I saw we're starting to get some of the privet trees across the street the glossy privet are starting to flower. So
my stronger hives are hard. My strongest hives are bringing on some pollen. I saw some drip on my last inspection, but the smaller ones not quite. So the flow is there, but it's not terribly strong. It's enough to sustain the small hive and make the bigger one grow slightly, but it's gonna like Quebec is. It's like an explosion. Once it starts, it gets here all at once, and it doesn't stop until September. So
And that's why I was showing you all earlier tonight. I said, I've under-supered all my hives, being cautiously optimistic that it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Have you guys? I know I do it too, but is under supering really that much better than just stacking it on top? Because from what I read, it's like a lot of people say it's better to under super. That's why I've been doing it, but I haven't tried just stacking them up over another to see if there's any difference.
I've heard that some people say that there's been really no difference. It's just a preference thing.
Yeah, I think it was an American Bee Journal. They said there wasn't really any difference. They said there might be a slight advantage on supering.
I think some of it depends upon whether or not you have an upper entrance or not. The bees are having to travel through how many supers of full honey to get to the empty one on top. But if you put a entrance on the top, then they do not have to traverse all that way up from the bottom all the way through.
Well, if you do not use a queen excluder,
my phone just died.
Yeah, just something went just sideways.
No, you just went sideways.
Yeah. If you do not use a queen excluder and you on the super, you're giving the queen a chance to come up and lay in that next super.
Yeah.
Because if you leave the honey above her, she's not going to cross the honey supposedly. But you have to use you better off using a queen excluder if you're going to under super.
Yeah, even then, sometimes the queen gets sneaky. I had 2 years ago, I had a queen stuck in my honey supers. I was wondering why the heck there was drone comb there. Then I realized, oh yeah, the queen got above the excluder somehow. Maybe I
Yeah, Alex, you really have to inspect those things. You have to
yeah.
go up and down. By the way, so I'm not doing over or under supering. I'm doing a zigzag super. So, I take half the frames out and mix it up with uncapped honey and put them right up on
Yeah,
top.
but that works only with drawn comb, right?
I
It's wonky.
I don't know. I've only done it with drawn comb, so I'll
Okay.
just flat out ignorant there. But they seem to draw it out better, and we've talked about this in the past. I think what's going on is that the bees just take a look at it and say there's something wrong here. It should be one contiguous thing, and so they work to fill up the one that's either above or below that, and they seem to.
You heard them say that?
What?
You heard the bees say that?
Let me translate for you there, Brad. Hang on a second.
I was just wondering how you figured that out.
It's Morse code, by the way, too. So, no, I think I got that. Somebody was interviewing Dick Brickner years ago, or last year. I think it was that fellow from Nathan or whatever, Duck River Honey.
Duck River Honey, yes. I think I saw that video. Checker comb, checkered boarding.
Yeah, but in a vertical fashion. Yeah. So I thought, what the hell?
Yeah, Bob Benny had that same guy.
Thank you. Yeah, he's had him on there. That guy's a wellspring of information. It's pretty interesting. It's so laid back. But yeah, it was just really empty under the cap. Yeah, something like that, Ziggy.
It kind of depends, like Brad talked about. We talked about this with Brad, and when you got 150 some hives, you're not going to pull all them honey supers off and under. You're just going to stack on top and keep on going.
Yeah, you got to run, right? Yeah.
And you talk about upper entrances and all that kind of stuff. Well, that might help. You got to remember one thing: when it comes to nectar, that bee that's bringing it back at forager, he doesn't put it in the hole. He passes it on to a bee, and that bee passes on another bee and another one and another one. And that's how it actually makes honey, because the enzymes in each one of them honey guts mixes that honey, and then it turns it in, or nectar, and it turns it into honey. And then finally the one will take it in there and put it in a cell and all. The only thing that the bees do themselves, each individual, is when it comes to pollen. So
Robin put 3 in.
I think the biggest key that I have noticed is that you have to have a hive. If you want a hive that really makes a lot of honey, you got to have a huge population of bees in the honey supers. And that's what I have noticed.
Yeah.
The more bees you have up in the honey supers, it make more honey, and they'll do better on wax and everything else.
Yep, big population, big harvest. Kind of a good thing.
So, that's one of my issues this year. Is I had huge populations in the spring, and wasn't really expecting that, and I got to remanage those hives better where I'm not disturbing the bees as much. Try to pull it.
Charlie?
Bee escapes help.
Well, when I open them hives, when I normally open them up, I have 3 medium boxes in the wintertime. And normal population is in the top 2 mediums, and the bottom medium is completely empty. Well, last year I used Apis Biologic in there, fed them approximately 4 gallons of sugar water with that in there. And I had bees from the bottom board to the top, and a huge population. So here I'm trying to, in my mind, take off. I'm trying to manipulate everybody where I got the brood in the bottom 2 boxes and all the bees. And well, it just really wasn't enough room. So if I do the same thing next year and I have that type of population, instead of having bees up in the air and bees out on the ground and, you know, and bees all over the boxes, and I'm trying to do it a more efficient way, is I think I'm going to put a queen excluder on and put honey supers on and let the bees population go up into the honey supers, expand up there. And then I can move the honey supers off, let's say the next day, without having bees up in the air. And then I can get down into the brood box and see how much brood I need to remove. That was another thing this year. I was, listening to a lot of people, put more honey supers on, give them a space. They won't swarm. They won't have queen cells. Well, that wasn't true. You got to go in there. You got to remove about half the cap brood and give them, open comb for her to lay, and they won't swarm and they won't make queen cells because they got space. Give them plenty of honey supers to go up into. And then what is easier for management of that cat? That was another thing. It's like, okay, I can't find the queen because there's just too many bees. So you shake all the bees off that cat brood. And then it's like, the next question is, for me, it's always like, well, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Well, like Benny and them have a box that they move around with them, and they if they find a weak hive, they put it over here, or another location and all that stuff. And that's too much for me. So my thing is put a brood box up on top and put the comb that's been shaking the bees off upstairs along with foundation, and the bees will come up and they'll cover that comb up. So now if I go 4 hives down and I find a weak hive, I know hive number 1 and number 2's got 2 or 3 combs, or maybe 4 combs of brood, cat brood. I know where they're at, and they'll be covered up with bees, and I can pull them frames out of that top box with the bees on it and drop it in that 4th hive that's weak, and boost it and move the bees over there. And you're equalizing it out. If you do that do that every couple of weeks, you're gonna have to do it every couple of weeks. But like Bob said, our average is 50 pounds of honey per hive. I can increase my poundage up to, let's say, 80, maybe close to 100 pounds hive by doing it this way. And all, because it's single brood management, and they're you're making basically, because the queen's laying everything up in them 2 mediums or 1 deep, they're pushing all the honey upstairs. You're going to get all the honey out of them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way Ian does it is he gives the queens 2 brood chambers, and then when the honey flow starts, he removes 1 brood chamber, puts the excluder on, and then he just stacks the boxes on top.
I don't think
he goes back into the brood nest during the honey flow.
Talking about Ian?
I think,
Alex?
Yes.
Yeah, well, see, now that's the thing. You're in a different climate area and a different period of time. My flow is April, May, and June. My swarm season is April, May, and June.
Okay, yes. Now I understand what you mean. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
But it's
where Ian,
so much knowledge intermingling.
Yeah, well, it's location. Now, Ian's I call it the Midwest, which is right straight north of Michigan. And I think it is where he's at. And so is Brad. And their honey flow starts, I think, in May. Is it? May, June, and July.
More like June.
Yeah, I think it's June and
barely
July.
here in Quebec, it's barely starting. So
All right. So your nectar flow starts in what? June?
yes,
Let's say June, July, August, maybe.
yeah, those are the 3 big months.
June, July, and August. That's your 3 months. I quit in June. My flow is over with. I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Now think about this. June 21st, the magic date, which is the summer solstice, which in turn I can tell by that time my queen starts reducing in the laying. So she doesn't I won't have any swarming problems most likely from that point on. And I will say probably up there in Canada where those guys are, they don't swarm that point. It's like James and Ian and all of them. What are they doing? They're taking splits. You either equalize or split. Equalize is the same thing as a split, except a split, you're making a new colony with that. Equalizing, you're taking the same amount of brood out of that colony or most of it, and you're giving it to another weaker hive. So you're maintaining the bee population in that brood chamber. And up there where they're at, like you were saying, you all of a once your flow is coming in June, I think it is, from the those trees.
Yes, and it's
Vastly.
nonstop. Once it started, it gets pretty crazy.
And the thing of it is, listen to how many pounds of honey. You're talking almost 150 to 200 pounds per hive. Unheard of for me. It used to be that way. They tell me, the older guys would tell me that, some 40 years ago, because we had the nectar sources, but not anymore. And you have that nectar source where I would say the bees are so concentrated on bringing all that honey in, they're not thinking about swarming. So it's location is in it's a situation. You have to kind of know where you live and all that. How's Tim doing?
We're doing all right. How y'all, gentlemen?
Good.
Nice to see you.
I was
Did
looking
you get
at
a
the
haircut,
screen. I
Tim?
didn't see you come in.
Did you get a haircut, Tim?
Oh yes, sir. It was time.
I'm sure it's probably hot down there. Yeah.
I always have a
Yeah.
haircut. It's permanent.
Thankfully I've been able to keep mine, but I like to try to keep it short.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
mind being bald.
Mine's turning
I
late.
actually like it.
I used to have hair, but
Oh, so did I. 28, it started going bald at the back of the head. Then I decided, screw it, shave.
Is that right?
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
Tim, I'm right there with you. I mean, even when I had hair in the heat of the summer, I'd cut it right down. So.
Yes. I'm just making that summer transition from keeping a thick beard to trimming everything back now. Like I say,
Yeah.
it's getting warm.
Right.
But
It's just getting rainy here and cold.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Ian is actually north of the Minnesota border, more on the Dakota side. But
I think it seems to be. I think Brad was talking about if you take the line between them two states and go straight up, that's where they're located.
Ian
at.
is in Miami, Manitoba. So I can
in the Columbia
plug
Valley
the
up there.
north.
Yeah, that's north of Devil's Lake in North Dakota. Speaking of cold and temperature or whatever, he was supposed to have a high of 88 today. And Rodney Middleton down in the North Dakota the North Carolina, South Carolina border, he's going to be cooler this week down there than Ian is up in Canada. Yeah. Good news is for Ian is that I think on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, he's going to get possibly 2 inches of rain up there, which I could definitely use some. But
you can have ours
more up there than we are. It's interesting, the jet stream, whatever. So
We got
Well,
a
it's like for us
58
here, we were cutting hay, and this was the first week where we had a week's worth of solid, good, dry
Oh, that's
uh,
right.
weather. And actually, it was windy. It was cool and windy, but we were able to. A long-haired hippie? No, I never was. But we were able to cut the whole farm down and get it all in. So anyway,
Yeah, I
now
looked
we
it up.
could use some water.
I looked it up. He's north of Devil's Lake in North Dakota, and slightly east.
Yeah, but that's what I've learned in my hives this year, as far as my experimentations with management and manipulation and stuff. So, next year, like I say, I'm going to do the apis, get the big bee population, not mess around marking queens, and I'm either going to do what James said about taking the third medium, take the top box off, put a queen excluder underneath it, shake the bees down out of the one top box, and then put a queen excluder on, and then put, let's say, at least a couple honey supers on, and then put that top box up on top, and then wait for them bees to kind of come up to that top box, and then I'll have them in boxes instead of all over every place else. That'd be better for the bees and better for me. That's my plan.
I was going to ask you guys, because Charlie's doing frame equalizations with brood and whatnot, and this is the first year I've really rode herd on that, and I've actually done it 3 times, and it's really interesting. When you have hives that have come out really weak over the winter, what kind of difference that can make. But that's any of you guys do any fall or spring frame equalizations?
I did in the spring
some.
for us.
Did what, Mike? What was it you say? Spring what?
Spring and fall frame equalizations. Spring and fall equalizations. And I've gone through them 3 times in the last 3 weeks in equalized frames. Keeping in mind what the queen is laying in there. All the hives except for one that I have in the back here, the 10 hives are going to be, they're going to be requeened. That's it. But so I'm keeping note of which ones are laying good, which ones aren't, and so on. And then I'll probably do a double screen board. That's how I'm going to make my queens this year. Troy's grafting up a ton of them, but I just want to screw around for my own stock and kind of give that a run. But
well, one thing that I'm trying to do is making sure that I'm going to try to do like Brad and the rest of them, is to try to have queens that are no more than 2 years old.
Absolutely.
Now, this year, I pretty much, not to my doings, but the bees themselves, where I can pretty much, that's another thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to tag my hives with numbers, and I'll know with what, how old the darn queens are.
I'm laughing, not at you, Charlie. I was literally hanging on to my my cattle ear tags today, bringing them out of my shop, getting ready to put them on. And I'm not just putting them on each hive, I'm putting them on each super. But, I'm not going to have more than 20 hives at any one time, so I can do that. But that way I know also if I reverse the hives, I don't know, maybe it's being
my main thing is I'm going to put it on the rack, and, like the hive behind me that's all the way the farthest out towards the farm. That'll be let's say hive number 1. And I'll put a number 1 on the rack. And it doesn't matter what boxes I switch around, because that's always changing. But I'll know that that's number 1, and I'll know that queen is a 2023. And and she's a new queen, in there. And so it is like Bob talked about, is she a 2023 queen that started laying in the spring of this year, or at the latter end,
Yeah.
and it's more so it's a new queen that I just made this year. So I figured 2 years on that one, and
Yeah,
I'll have,
that's nice.
anyway, I'm gonna keep I keep notes in kind of like a diary type thing on my phone,
Mhm.
but I want to try to make sure I know what the ages of queens are. And everybody says, well, that's where you mark them. Well, when you mark them and makes them either the hives kill them or do something else, I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave them alone. The heck
Honestly,
with it.
that happens so often, and from everybody I've been talking to, and I've never had one where they've killed it. When I've marked it.
I've had that happen to me years and years ago when I first started out. At least that's what was told to me, that, you change the pheromone smell of the queen or just the smell of the queen because of the acetone or whatever in that ink.
Yeah.
And, that's my sort of belief of it, maybe is what happened.
Oh,
Because I don't, when I put them in that queen marking cage, I'm sitting there and I'm making a little round 0 on the back. I'm sure I'm not hitting her. I mean, I watch about, not touching her antennae or anything else. Used to be, I wanted a great big, blob of ink on there. Now it's like just enough to put a dot on her,
I think one of the watchwords to doing that too there is once you get that queen marked, hang on to it for a minute. Let that paint dry.
Well, what I usually do is I mark her.
Mm-hmm.
I leave her in that cage.
There you go.
I actually have a towel, a hand towel on my seat of my truck. So I cover her up and put her in the dark so she doesn't try to get through the little queen thing bars. And then I go and get the hive sort of like put back together, kind of get it straightened out and whatever I need to do to it. And then, that might be 5 minutes. And then I let her walk on in. But
to dry. That's fantastic, Charlie.
Huh?
And by the way, everyone, the reason I don't do any grafting is that, well, I don't see that well, but that's not an excuse. But I do have a mimicking Parkinson, so my hands aren't as steady. So, hey, Russell. But for everybody that wants to start handling queens and marking queens, practice on your drones. Pick those doggone drones up, and don't be afraid to mark them. You don't have to put them back in the hive, but you can practice and practice and practice with the drones, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, they're about the same size, and they don't sting.
Hold up. You talking about marking drones?
Yeah, just practicing. You absolutely do not need to do
that. That's starting to get into the society and what's going on in the country right here. We're marking men up. I'm not going to mark my drones up.
Well, the caveat there is you want to use a different color than everything else. But that way you're actually getting used to using your marker.
We got too many men running around with lipstick.
Hey, do you want some Bud Light?
No, I sure don't.
No, but you can, just practice on that, and that way you're also getting used to what your marker will do. So everybody talks about handling drones and practicing drones as far as just, handling queens. But Ziggy says, Mike, that's what I showed in a video today. What's that, Ziggy? Handling drones? Don't tell me you were marking drones, because then we're going to start sending you beer.
You mark a drone and then he's going to start identifying as a queen and you can take over the hive.
Yeah. Only if you start selling.
Brian, if those queens were about to merge, I would have let them emerge and caged them and used them.
Mm. So, there was something I was going to mention to you guys. So last year, for the first time I gave this a run, I used 3 pads of Formic, 30 days apart. And I haven't talked to Russell about this yet. I have yet to find a mite in any of my drones when I open them up. Now, I have not hit them with the Excelic, but I mean, not a single drone that I've tore apart.
But that's what Formic Pro is all. I kept always saying, how does it work when all the bees are hanging on the front? But that's not what it's going for. It's Formic Pro is going after the mites underneath the cappings.
No, not this way, because I'm only doing a single pad. I'm doing 3 single pads, 30 days apart, or for 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. And so it's not so thick that it's going underneath the wax. Now, Charlie, it certainly could be, but that's what we've been told. That's why you use 2 pads, so it's so insanely strong it penetrates the wax. Now, how much of that is true? I don't know. But
well, I mean, the person who told me that was Dr. Ramsey.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they're talking about using 2 pads, not a single pad.
Right.
Yeah. So I was just using single pads. And by the way, the time of year I was doing it, there were no bees on the outside of the hive. And by the way, that's something else you guys can try, because we're always told that the mites are always on the, the nurse bees and everything else. Bull crap. If you have a heavy bearded hive, now sure, there's going to be nurse bees on that beard there, but you actually can do a mite wash on the outside of bearded bees. And God help you find some out there, but that's just my obsession, and I sure as hell only find that for me. So I use 2 pads in the fall, no mites, spring, and yeah. So Ziggy, the only reason I'm not using 2 pads is that it can be hard on the bees. You'll end up with losing quite a few bees. So that's just guys. That's just me. Again. What my mantra is: beekeeping is regional, so I have the right temperature where I can get away with that. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that, because I haven't had enough alcohol.
So anyway, but yeah, for me, it's usually 3 mite treatments I use. I start in, let's say, around August. And I use Formic, and there's Todd. And I use either Apivar. I'm going to use Apigard this year, and then oxalic acid through the winter time.
Is that the one with the bucket that you put this?
Yeah, you squirt out 50 liters of it, or
yeah, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use that and oxalic acid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to finish them up though, Brad, with oxalic at the end, like Charlie is.
In the wintertime. And like the science guy said, I finally listened to them. They said, it's more productive, or whatever you call it. It's oxalic acid is much better for wintertime. And I do it right through the winter, April or October, November, December, January, and then all the way into February, Brian. Maybe 1st of March, So what's Todd? You went out to the bees, and what did you find?
First, I have to comment on the waste of money of my non-glare glass prescription. So if you see me, look at the green eyes here. How you like that?
Notice
that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
God, if I took them off, I wouldn't be able to see you guys. Not much. I just went out there and did a quick check. I'm going to have to start pulling honey frames tomorrow.
Well, the last time you went out there, you went live, and you needed was a storm knocked the blossoms off or something like that, and that kind of thing. And did it affect the fruit bearing trees?
No, because it didn't knock all of them off. It knocked quite a few off, but they brought in the honey. I have one hive that's five deeps high, and 4 of them
5 deeps. How do you lift them things, Todd?
I'm gonna have fun tomorrow.
I was gonna ask.
I'll probably
have to have a hive lifter or something.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Most of the other ones are 2 and 3 boxes deep or high.
Yeah, I did that last year. One of my highs was taller than I am. Now, granted, I'm only 5'7", but it was taller than I was. It was removing the full supers from the top. The top full super was difficult.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost 6 feet tall in that top box. It probably comes up. The top of it comes up right to my nose, just about. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, Todd, I can't remember. Where are you?
Central California.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Loma Vista. Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, before I forget, talking about
Sorry.
these heavy honey boxes and stuff, and I went to the chiropractor this morning, Charlie, but I need to send you a couple of tips on back exercises because I've been doing them, and I've done a 180.
That's good.
Yeah.
My thing, it's not so much my back; it's the damn sciatic nerves, and
This will help.
huh?
What else? I'll text it to you probably tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, you got my phone.
Yeah. It'll help because I kind of had a little of that, but I had a lot of low back pain.
Yeah.
So it's all in the same area, but it's helped me. I don't know if it's going to help you, but it helped me.
Oh, they showed me some stretches and stuff, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. How the rest of everybody else doing tonight?
We're
I was
doing good.
listening to you guys. You guys went. Well, I was out at the farm, and then I went to Tractor Supply to get like 5-gallon buckets because I forgot to order honey jars this morning. So I might do it tonight online, but I remember
Now,
Bob-
Russ, yeah, I want to answer Russell's thing here. It says he's talking about OA and effectiveness as far as hurting the brood and whatever. And here, I presume, yeah, in the United States, it's 1 gram per brood box, which they want to up it to 2 grams per brood box. And, it's like that many per 2 brood boxes, like at least 3. And all that. So it doesn't hurt the brood at all. It's depends on. For me, in the wintertime, I'm hitting them twice a month, or at least I try to. In October, November, hit them at least once a month, if not twice. I was doing it twice a week for like 6 consecutive weeks, and I still lost bees because, and not doing anything in the wintertime. So the only
Why
thing
don't
I can
you do the extended release and leave those pads on there for like 2 months?
What time of the year are you going to be using that Apagard, Charlie?
Me, now that was one thing that Bob Benny talked about. He says that stops the brood rearing. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go in like August for what is that? That's a 4-week treatment. I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
No, you split it. If you split it up, if it's too hot, you could do it 3 times.
You could do like a
30 grams, and it's
30
like 10 days.
gram. You could do a 25 gram for 4 consecutive weeks, or you can do a 33 gram in 3 consecutive weeks, and all that. And after that, then I would go ahead and I would probably put the humidity and heat would be a little less by that time. I would throw my Formic Pro on there, 2 strips for a couple weeks. And then after that, I'd kind of wait till about be around
kind of hot for
mid-October.
Formic?
Huh?
Wouldn't it be kind of hot in August for Formic?
Well, the last couple of years, we've gotten these short little windows, about a 4 or 5 day window. Yeah. It was low humidity and the heat was less than 80 degrees. And I threw, you need about 3 days of low humidity, low heat.
Yeah.
That's the critical time for that stuff. And I got away with it quite well.
Oh.
Now, this year I had Apagard, so I'm going to use the Apagard first in August, and then hit them with Formic Pro September, which is a little cooler, and then start oxalic acid after that a couple times. And the only thing I can tell you is I was asked to participate in the National Honeybee Survey this year, and my paperwork came back to where I had a 0.2 mite infestation. So less than you know,
Well,
it was
that's
two
nice,
mites and about 1,200 bees. I think they took a sampling to. So that was, less than 1%. So my mite program, as I call it, seems to be working and all. So I'm going to keep with that. That's what I'm going to do.
So
I was
Brian,
using
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was using Apivar along with that. Last year I did Formic Pro, Apivar, and oxalic acid through the winter.
So Brian, I don't know about I don't know anything about creamed honey except where I can buy it. So and I've never seen orange around here. I'd like to try to. You need to make a video so we can watch exactly how. Maybe you did already. I haven't looked back far enough, but
What's
I'd
that,
like to eventually
Todd?
do that. And then Paul, it's not all orange blossom. It's got peach and plum and a little nectarine in it as well. And I need to get it off quick because the tallows are finally starting to tassel out. So I need to get those off before they mix that in there.
Man, that sounds like some really interesting tasting honey.
It is.
Wow.
I'll see what it tastes like this year.
Yeah. No, I'd love to try that. And Charlie, back to a previous talking about clover. Clover honey was the predominant honey in this area when I was growing up. You either got clover or buckwheat, and so that was just the two flavors.
So you either got clover or mud honey, huh?
Oh, I love buckwheat, brother.
You did? Not me. God, that's like eating mud.
Yeah.
It's good in coffee.
I love that.
They sell buckwheat more so for like like Honey Nut and Cheerios and places like that is where they use it.
Oh, really?
I think cooking recipes too, right?
Yeah, it's all cooking. They use it in cooking. It's not a high demand. Now my niece, she likes it, but I would give you 5 cents for it.
See,
I'd feed it back to the bees.
I sent some of my honey up there, and they were complaining that it was too light. Well, Saskatchewan is where the majority of mustard and buckwheat is grown. If you get buckwheat seed, odds are it's coming. People don't use it for cover crops anymore, so that's why it's disappeared here. But no, I grew up on the two extremes, and to me, it was a red wine and a white wine. So anyway, so just talking about clover earlier. That's where that came up there. And Todd, I'm going to throw my Apigard on as soon as I take the honey supers off. Depending upon the temperatures, I'm able to do the 25 gram, 225 from hit them with the 50. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to round them out with finishing off with oxalic. But we're also, last year we put the oxalic pads on too. Mm-hmm. And Russell, I think we're going to be making those things next weekend. So I know Russell Cooper's asking, he wants some of those things. So
I made a batch last week and they worked great for me last year. And Charlie, I already missed my window, I think, to put on Apigard, but I'm going to do it anyway as soon as I get the honey off. Because if I wait till August, I'll burn every single bee out of all those boxes because, it's in August, it could get up to 110, 113.
Yeah, it doesn't. Luckily, it doesn't do that around here.
It fumigates those boxes. So I can't do it. And besides that, I don't want to do it then because that's when the queen's laying, starting to lay winter brood. So I don't want to mess that up. So I'll leave those strips on for like 2 months. And then, even though it's the same thing, I'm not sure, but it worked for me last year. Vaporizing is, oxalic, but it's you're presenting it differently. So I'm going to use that as a third treatment again this year.
Nice.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like your weather out where you're living at. Like you say, you got 100 and some degrees as your normal day. Where, if we get up around 90, 95, I mean, that's severe hot for us. Where this year, here it is, almost June. And I'm not complaining. It hasn't been humidity. We haven't had any humidity.
Knock on wood.
To speak of. and it's been, well, like you say, I guess it was yesterday. It was windy and it was 58 degrees or something like that. 58 or 60 some degrees. It was, I mean, I had my hoodie on. Here I'm baling hay with a hoodie on. I mean, come on. Usually I'm like, close the tractor cab up and turn the AC on wide open, And
you had a hoodie on baling hay.
I was baling hay yesterday and I had a hoodie on.
It only got to 75 here today, but you guys,
that's
totally
decent.
Yeah, it's totally different on the East Coast with all that humidity. You walk out the front door in the morning and it slaps you in the face. And in the South too. Tim knows what I'm talking about. But I don't even think the humidity stops in the South. It's probably 24/7. But here,
yeah, we went down there to get bees here. I guess it was last year, year before, and it was a little late. It was close to April. It was like in the March, 1st of April to get bees at Hardiman's, and it started it was like, up here it was long pants and a hoodie to get in the morning, and down there when we got down there it was shorts and you were burning up, and I'm like, how do you people stand it? But, and he said, oh, this ain't so bad at all. And I'm like, you got to be out of your mind. I mean, it gets worse instead of better as time grows.
We walk around in April and say, man, we wish it would stay like this year round.
Ain't that the truth? Yes, sir.
the humidity for us is, if it's really bad in Central California, it's maybe 20%.
Ooh,
Gee whiz.
So
we
it's
lucky.
dry.
Yeah,
We lucky
humidity.
to have 70%.
Yeah.
70 is low.
Well, I lived in Missouri for a while, and I got a taste of it. Every year, about this time when it would start picking up, I'd get a rash on the inside of both of my elbows, on my arms, for about a week. And then when I got used to the humidity, it went away. Every year, did it like clockwork.
Humidity is always high in Quebec because it's riddled with lake all over. Like there's thousands upon thousands of freshwater lakes here. So yeah, humidity is pretty intense here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you got a lot of mosquitoes too.
Yeah, and black flies, and especially in the more northern areas, like an hour north of Montreal, it gets really bad.
Oh, Alex, this is quite a few years ago, but we're doing some dives up due north of us on the Silver Cow chain, Hooker Lakes, and I was wearing a 1/4-inch wetsuit, riding the boat. I was at the tiller, full throttle, and I felt this pain in my leg, and I looked down, and here was a horsefly biting through the wetsuit in the wind. I'm like, what the F? How the heck did the moose handle this shit? No.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those. Not many, but yeah, horseflies.
Yeah, they're pretty out there. Tim, how much rain have you been getting lately? Have you finally dried out a bit?
We have, thank goodness. The last couple of days, it's actually dried up. But last, I'll say 2 weeks, we probably got a good 6-8 inches of rain.
That's just amazing. And your creeks have got to be over.
They ain't too bad. The rains that we had, or that we've had lately, have just been like good ground soaking rain instead of just a whole bunch of runoff.
Okay, so you've been able to. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, the land's actually been able to take it in versus more of it just running off, like you're saying, into the creeks and rivers and all. But I will say, me and Hannah, we was talking the other day about this, and I know we constantly on this weather, but I mean, it's been a long time, or we can't even remember whenever we've had a
It's
cool
been that
season
far.
like we've had.
Yeah.
It's, I need to buy a new jacket this year, but I don't know what to buy. I have a Dayton vintage jacket, and it feels like I'm wearing a blanket still because it's so thick. So, any suggestions? Anybody have something that's cool?
I have a fantastic one, but it's heavy. Russell, do you remember what kind of jacket I have? I had to go out and look.
I just got an Ultra Breeze. I like it pretty good.
Yeah, it's. I don't remember if that's it or not, but it is. It is. There's a weight there, but there's so much ventilation in the thing. It makes a big difference. Yeah, Russell doesn't remember. I don't know. I don't think it was like Ultra Breeze, whatever one it was. I know it was made in the States.
Comfort Pro.
Yeah, there's a bunch out there. I just don't know which one to.
Or there's a Pro. I mean, to be quite, the one that's the most lightest is a Provent. I've had Provent. I've got the what's the one that you got rid of, Bob?
Guardian.
Guardian. I got a Guardian I've been using for a year. It's okay, you know. And none of them, I mean, if it's a hot weather, yes, you'll feel the breeze going through. But if there's no breeze, it's still hot. You know, and I did get a Comfort Pro, and before he even got out to the bee field, the darn like thumb strap broke before I even got to use the stupid thing. And then it was something like JCBs was talking about. He said, he said, if the thumb strap isn't made just right, it to me, look out, and then the wristlet, what do you call it? The elastic was not tight around my wrist. And I'm like, this is not made very well. And it did have the same material as a Provent, but a Provent's better than this, better than that. But the Provent, the elastic, after a while, just kind of deteriorates. It doesn't do what it should do. So I sent the Comfort Pro back, got my money back, and that was about it for that. I'm still using the Guardian for now.
Hey, one last thing. I hate to bring the show back to the Stone Ages. I've been meaning to ask this. I cannot chat in the comments unless it's in that private chat. So how in the world do you switch it over? I don't even know where to respond.
Yeah, private chat, and then there's comments. You see comments?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm at.
if you're a guest, you can't chat on there. You have to do it through your YouTube.
I have two windows opened.
Yeah, me too. I can't
Okay.
comment in the chat.
I have two windows open too.
So just mute YouTube and you could type in that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we in the same boat, brother. I've tried punching buttons and figure out how to type back folks like Brian and all, but you can see the comments, but you can't type anything in if you're on a cell phone.
Well, Tim, that's okay. I mean, look on the bright side. At least you guys finally have got electricity in the holler.
yes, we did.
Hey, Tim.
You do fine, young man.
Tim, at least you got a dog and not a cat.
Yeah, what about the
Yeah, now Tim's got a cat. There's a black cat. I've seen it.
Yeah, we got a couple cats too.
So what's going on with Jasper?
What about the new dog edition?
Y'all ain't been hearing him yep.
Yeah, I heard him a couple of times. I seen you mute when he started to bark.
I bet he's got a brand new collar with the name badge on it and everything.
Not yet. We ain't got him the collar yet, but that joker has definitely made himself at home, that's for sure. Hannah's got him back there now, trying to keep him at bay, and she come running in here a second ago. He escaped, and that's what he was doing, chasing one of them cats.
Mm-hmm. He gonna get that cat. Let him get a little older.
Well, Tim, let me know if you
I
need
think that
any
cat
dog
got a hold
collars.
of him last week.
Let me know if you need any dog collars there, Tim, because my
I seen there
Siamese
Todd
keep
figured
bringing
it
them in.
out. Now he's starting to tap in.
There we go. All right. You guys are in trouble now.
Oh,
Yeah, send him one, Mike, as long as it ain't pink.
Duct tape and hood zippers they've seen inside and open the hood. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, Brad, I've tried keeping dogs here. It just doesn't work. It's kind of cheap because then I don't go through as much cat food.
What with the dogs?
Well, okay. You're from the deep south, so I'm gonna explain this to you. That was a joke. My cats eat the dogs.
I'm not going to tell you what we do with cats.
Actually, speaking of eating things, though, all joking aside, we had a black bear on the other side of my bog here on Monday morning, and it was a big one. It was walking the peninsula. I'm like, oh, crap. So I actually do have the 12 gauge over the fireplace here, but, apparently it was a pretty good sized one. And something, I actually like bear jerky, so. But that's just one of those things. Anybody try a hot air gun to uncap a frame?
I'd be awful slow.
Once. That's all it took.
I was not fussing, but me and my wife were having a discussion. We got a little bitty shoot, I even forget what she is. She looks like a little poodle, but anyhow, I tell her all the time, I said, you really bought a freaking cat. She says, what are you talking about? I said, this dog does not come when you call it. I said, that's a cat. I said, I like when you call your animal, he comes running over, gives you his paw, licks you, stuff. I said, every time I call this dog, she just looks at me. She don't do anything. She's a damn cat.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah. Now Paul's looking for 12-inch electric knife blades for deeps. Was it Pierco, Bob?
Pierce.
Yes.
Huh?
Pierce sells that
Oh, yeah.
long knife to cut deeps.
Or you can just bring it over here. I got a brand new $4,000 double 12-inch knife to cut deep frames.
I can't remember what the guy's name is, Willard, but he actually took an electric carving knife and put it on a foot pedal feed to vary the speed.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
That was insane how well that worked. I looked at that and I just about threw my planer out. That was pretty crazy.
Bob, you talked about doing people's honey frames, but the old man that has a lot of hives down here, he actually gets with a lot of the smaller guys, and he tells them right after he runs his honey through, if they want to come run theirs, he charges them a percentage of their honey. But they have to come at the time that he's harvesting his. That way he ain't got to clean his equipment up, every time.
Again.
Yeah,
Right.
some small group comes through.
And he keeps
And a lot
the
of
wax too, probably.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah, a lot of them do it because they just want, they got like 2 or 3 hives and they just want their honey, so they just run it through his machine. It takes them no time. He has 180 frame, or not, I forgot what he said. No, maybe it's 80 frame extractors, 280 frame extractors with and he has that automatic uncapper like Ian got there, and it takes him no time to do a couple of hives. So if you bring in 4 let's say you bring in 4 deeps, he keeps 1.
Right.
So
Have
you
you seen that?
you don't have to buy equipment or anything.
Have you seen that guy that has the mobile extractor and that? It's not a full semi truck. It might be like a box truck or maybe a little bigger than that. And he has a full-on extractor system in there, and he'll drive to different farms and
That's what I want to do. Buy an enclosed trailer to put my honey house in, because I'm in a small apartment.
I could buy an enclosed trailer cheaper than I paid for that uncapper.
Because
Well, Alex, instead of putting your honey house in the trailer, why don't you just put your honey equipment in the trailer and leave your house where it's at?
That's an option.
Because brand new 21-foot enclosed trailer over here is $15,000. So yeah.
They got
I'm
like
trying to find a used one and refurbish it.
I think you can buy a 6x12 enclosed trailer for like $3,800 here.
New?
Yeah, but you want as much room as possible.
That's cheap.
why I was looking for a 21 footer, 21 by 7 or 21 by 8.
What are you going to pull that thing with? Your car?
No, I have somebody that could park it in the backyard for me. That will allow me to store the honey boxes and make a small extraction chain. I'll be able to go up to 60, maybe 100 hives with that storage. And with the money I'll make from that, I'll be able to buy myself a pickup. Because right now, my car is tiny.
I think
That
this
would be a
guy is
bad
in
idea.
Kansas and Nebraska. I think he goes around the Midwest and makes his milk run, and it's with that mobile thing. That's a really good idea.
That'd be all right.
And the extractor I have works on 12 volts. So I could power it with a car battery.
No, he can't tow it around, Bob. It's not like your house. So
No, I'll have to ask somebody to tow it for me. But it's going to be my permanent parking space until I can get a pickup to move it around.
nice.
Oh, guys, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to call it a night. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should go too.
I'm gonna go to.
Yeah, I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Yeah.
Charlie, are you closed tomorrow at your place there for the weekend?
No,
No Memorial Day weekend for
I'm gonna
you.
be open. We're never closed.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm gonna end the broadcast here.
Y'all have a grand night.
Good night.
All right, we'll see you.
Right.
See you guys.
Good night.